New York. The company did not say what was demanded or by whom. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for improvements to the nation's energy infrastructure.
We have had a Department of Energy cybersecurity project at Oak Ridge Labs, and I've been pushing to bring all of our national labs into a consortium to work on this, because securing our nation's critical infrastructure is going to be an imperative because of these bad actors that are out there.
Energy analysts say the impact on fuel supplies and prices depends on how long the pipeline is shut down. Deportations have reached an all-time low as a record surge of new migrants and asylum seekers continues at the southern border. Fox's Bill Malusian in Del Rio, Texas.
Border Patrol reporting that just here in Del Rio in the past week alone, they've been averaging 740 apprehensions every single day. The local sheriff here telling us he's never seen it worse and that human smugglers have been taking advantage. A semi-truck that got pulled over by local police after folks out there reported seeing people in the back of the truck. Police pull it over and there were dozens of migrants in the back of that semi.
Customs officials report 162,000 migrants were detained in April, but about 30,000 got away. 3 people were dead, including a suspect, and 2 others are injured after a shooting and fire in Maryland. Baltimore County Police say officers found an armed man outside a burning home in Woodlawn and shot him. The fire damaged 2 other homes. America is listening to Fox News.
Finally, get curcumin and CoQ10 together. Stop Aging Now brings you CoQ10 Ultra to fight inflammation and energize your body. Get a 30-day supply for 40% off plus free shipping with promo code FOX. Power and protect your cells for a strong heart, sharp brain, pain-free joints, and more. Nancy from West Virginia raves, CoQ10 Ultra helps me stay mentally and physically fit. Only from Stop Aging Now. Get 40% off plus free shipping right now. Go to stopagingnow.com and use code FOX.
The Equality Act is stalling out in the U.S. Senate. Democrats had hoped they could pass the legislation creating new protections for LGBTQ Americans this year, but Republicans warn it would open the floodgates for transgender athletes to play on female sports teams. A large piece of a Chinese rocket from a launch last month is expected to fall back to Earth this weekend. Fox's Jill Nato reports.
A 23-ton rocket core careening out of orbit and headed for Earth. We don't know where it's going to hit, but researchers think they have an idea as to when. The Center for Orbital Reentry and Debris Study says it'll be around 0419 Greenwich Mean Time. That's 12:19 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday, give or take 8 hours. Because the Earth is mostly covered with water, chances are it'll hit an ocean. And some scientists believe as much as 40% of it will get burned up in the atmosphere. But if it hits land, whatever's left of it is bound to leave a mark. Jill Nato, Fox News.
At least 30 people were dead after a bomb exploded near a girls' school west of Kabul. The Taliban condemned the attack, and there's been no claim of responsibility. A well-known billionaire hosting tonight's Saturday Night Live show on NBC.
Tesla and SpaceX billionaire Elon Musk will take the stage this evening to try his hand at hosting the iconic show, which also features Miley Cyrus as musical guest. The announcement of Musk as Saturday Night Live host has drawn criticism on social media.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to sources, all 6.5 million residents of Indiana spontaneously formed thousands of perfectly uniform rows throughout the state Monday morning and established a collective consciousness. Saying, "We are Indiana," the new hive mind talked and moved in unison, with citizens working together to build a massive geometric superstructure in downtown Indianapolis where they would gather to sleep, breed, and feed.
All corns for Indiana. All corns for Indiana.
The collective state went on to report that soon Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Kentucky, and Canada would all become Indiana. Persons close to Phoenix area friends Jake Welter and Mike Seflin confirmed Friday that the two men are absolutely incapable of greeting each other like normal human beings.
Beep, 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 beep.
Sources say the two full-grown men simply cannot walk into a room and shake each other's hands, relying instead on elaborate dances, forced pop culture references, and extended fake fighting. Neither Welter nor Seflin was available for comment as they were busy pretending to rip each other's faces off. Frustrated Superman fans told reporters Monday that the economically healthy and financially stable Daily Planet newspaper is now the most unrealistic aspect of the comic books universe. Acknowledging that enjoying the adventures of a superhero that can fly, lift cars over his head, and shoot beams of light out of his eyes requires some suspension of disbelief, longtime readers said even the comic's most exciting stories are regularly ruined by the implausibility of a thriving daily newspaper whose advertising revenue and circulation numbers have not at all been threatened by a media landscape overtaken by laptops, smartphones, and aggregation websites.
Look, I could play along with Superman using his breath to freeze a volcano or clapping his hands together to cause some sort of sonic boom, but seeing images of a thriving Daily Planet newsroom not facing layoffs or dwindling home subscriptions just really takes me out of the story. No one in Metropolis has realized they could get news online faster and for free?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is She Talk Live here on Free Talk Live. Wednesday nights, of course, is apparently going forward going to be Ladies' Night. We need to get a voiceover that actually says that, though. Instead of having him say Free Talk Live, just have him say She Talk Live. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria,
Angie,
and Bonnie.
And man, there are some weird stories out there today. Now, I don't follow the news that closely, especially on Wednesdays, as we talked about. I just left my other job and pretty much came straight here, ate, and then had to do a show, or got to do a show, rather. But from what I've heard so far, it's just from Chick-fil-A sauces being blamed on Joe Biden to some of this other stuff that you guys have brought in. It's a strange news day. And I think that's good. I think it's going to be a fun episode. Starting with this one of this guy who took a girl out on a Tinder date. Now, for those who don't know, Tinder is a dating app. It's really a hookup app. I didn't know very many people actually went on dates through Tinder, but evidently they do.
I had a boyfriend I met on Tinder.
And at some point, the dude decided it would be a great idea to describe himself as a Dogecoin millionaire. At which point, I'm not sure exactly how this all went down, but Bonnie, you have the story, and I want to hear it.
Okay, a lot of our listeners will think it's interesting to hear that this is coming out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, because it seems like a lot of our listeners are from New Mexico.
Well, there's a lot of crazy people out there in the desert, for sure.
Well, that goes for Utah, too. Jennifer Garcia, a 25-year-old woman, allegedly forced a 21-year-old Tinder date to ejaculate inside of her vaginal cavity in hopes of conceiving. Can we say that on the radio?
We just did, so I sure hope so.
A Tinder date that started
you can talk about these things as long as you use medical terms and you're not being crass about it.
Okay, yeah.
It's all about trying not to appeal to the lowest common denominator, and that was just a medically accurate way of describing it.
It's a very weird way to put it. I feel like I've never heard it that way. A Tinder date that started as a simple hookup ended up as a sperm robbery after... oh my God.
I know I shouldn't laugh because this is actual rape, but...
It is bad. It is bad. It's just... They shouldn't say sperm robbery. It's going to make people laugh.
Yeah, that's a poor choice of words from whoever wrote this article.
So it ended up as a sperm robbery after Tomas Martinez, a Dogecoin millionaire, showed Garcia his cryptocurrency wallet after engaging in sexual intercourse. What kind of
He wanted a second date, and he thought the best way to secure that would be to show her if he's a millionaire, a Dogecoin millionaire, he's not going to be one long if he's carrying around all of those funds on a mobile wallet. That's stupid. Why didn't he put some of that in a cold storage or something like that?
Because he's excited about it and he wants to show it off to his Tinder date.
Well, that seems to have been a poor decision on his part.
He is a Dogecoin millionaire. That might mean he knows nothing about cryptocurrency and he just bought Dogecoin a while ago with his friends or something.
Very good point.
It says Garcia then convinced Martinez to have unprotected sex with her, stating that the condom...
I'm sure that took a lot of convincing.
I know, convinced. Stating that the condom was irritating her skin. She told him to pull out if he is scared of getting her pregnant. And then this is in a quote. I think she knows that I was going to pull out any second because she told me to slow down and then reached for a pistol under her mattress, pointed it to my head, and told me to, I don't think I can say that word, inside her like God intended. God. Whoa. Oh my goodness.
So she's crazy in multiple ways.
Like God intended. Oh my God. Okay. Tomas said he thought that she was joking until she showed that the gun was loaded. Showed him, okay, this is almost starting to sound really unbelievable because I mean, like,
if somebody puts a gun to your head and gives you a command, you don't generally think, laugh it off, right?
and let me show you really fast that it's loaded, then that gives you an opportunity to grab it. Also, like, how are you having sex and grabbing something under your mattress? But I don't know. It says she told him she wants his baby and called him Dogecoin Poppy. This is just sounding like a joke.
Okay, well, who wrote this? Is this The Onion?
No, it's NEA.
GlobalNEA.com.
I don't know
anything about them, but I don't think we're going to find that they're a reputable website based on some of this.
Okay, I feel a little bad for having this article.
No, it's fine. It's still funny.
It says the top has like a menu. It says news, home, celebs. So it might be, like one of those Global Inquirer magazines, but okay.
It sounds like her Dogecoin Poppy is what she called him.
Yep. Referred to him as Dogecoin Poppy.
Terror?
Is that, common vernacular in the Southwest?
I have no idea.
To use Poppy instead of...
that not necessarily wouldn't be. I mean, that might be. I mean, like, if I'm talking about, like, being in San Antonio, I know, lots of sexually active guys, yeah. I know lots of gay guys. It's not like a
and they use
uncommon
the word
thing.
Poppy?
It's just funny that they would say Dogecoin Poppy. Well, in Spanish, like, daddy is Poppy.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be like completely impossible. It wouldn't be completely impossible, but it's just, well, like during this type of a situation, is that really going to happen? I don't know.
I don't know that any of this would ever actually happen. The guy would have to be pretty stupid in the first place to show a random Tinder date how much money he has.
Even if it was just regular money, you wouldn't do that, right?
No, that's stupid. That's a good way to get robbed. I mean, she's likely got friends who have crowbars and stuff like that. All the IT security and passwords in the world won't protect you from a $4 wrench from the Home Depot.
Okay, well, a terrified Tomas said he was so scared that it took him 10 minutes to ejaculate with the gun on his head.
That part's believable.
I don't know that I could have done that.
Yeah,
with a gun to my head. I'd have been like, nope, I'm all set.
Oh, I don't know either. I went to the police station right away after she let me go, hoping they'll at least make her take a plan B or something. They held her for the night in custody, and I think their most significant concern was the gun, and apparently they dropped all charges because I was the one at her place. Whether she's pregnant or not, at this point, nobody knows at the moment. Tomas is hoping he will find a way of dodging the bullet if she had fallen pregnant on that day. I would say if this is all true, then if she ends up pregnant, he doesn't need to have any responsibility. Yeah, he decided to have sex to begin with.
Well, but she put a gun to his head and tried to make him get her pregnant. So
that was the entire story.
Strange world out there, but I mean, it's good as a moral story, whether it's true or not. Don't go out on Tinder dates and then brag about how much money you have. That's stupid. I mean, you don't want to do this in any setting. You don't want to just run around talking about how much money you have because you can't trust everyone, and eventually someone's going to decide that they want it more than you.
Maybe she found her jackpot. She was like, this is my millionaire, my Poppy. And, she's going to take care of her and her little baby.
Or maybe she's just going to have a baby and not have any dad to help her with it. Because honestly, if I was New Mexico, I wouldn't rule like, you have to help with this baby. I don't know
what the state of New Mexico would do.
It's very interesting.
But I know a lot of states. I mean, he filed a police report, right? So he's on the record at least as saying that he didn't want to do this. And presumably the police found the gun and were concerned about it or whatever. So presumably his story is legally believable. But what will it matter if the girl says, no, that never happened. He chose to do that and I asked him not to,
Oh, yeah, true.
His word against hers. And then who do you believe?
Yeah. And most states, I believe, would make him take responsibility for the baby. But I mean, that's one of the benefits of cryptocurrency is that, if you are ordered by the court to take care of this baby, they know how much USD you have because you have it in bank accounts and stuff like that. But with cryptocurrency, unless you divulge that information, they don't know what wallet belongs to who. So the courts in New Mexico would have no way of knowing how much Dogecoin he actually has, unless he told them, which he's stupid, so he might very well do exactly that.
Yeah, that's true. This NEA magazine apparently knows he's a millionaire, so, and it doesn't seem like
Well,
she
they know he
reported
claims
that.
to be.
Yeah, so he might have claimed it to them.
That would be additionally stupid on his part because it dropped his full name. I mean, but people are stupid. I've heard of dumber things than that. But generally, you don't want to go bragging to your random Tinder date about how much money you have. It's not going to end well. She's probably got friends, and they probably have enough money to buy a crowbar or something like that. What are your thoughts? Do you find this story even remotely believable? 603-283-6160, 283-613. What am I doing? It's Free Talk Live.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com. The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in, take control of the airwaves, and talk about whatever is on your mind. 603-283-6160. Unfortunately, we don't have any updates about Ian, but the last I was told from my attorney, that it looks promising. And
Nice.
I don't know how long this process will really take. I know that the prosecutors had until noon tomorrow to give their terms and conditions or whatever, and Ian's attorney hadn't at the same time to submit his own, but presumably they're discussing, they're coming to an agreement, and my biggest concern is, how long will it actually take for all of the paperwork to get done for Ian to put up the property they wanted or whatever. It seems like that would take more than a day or two, but I don't know.
Even if it takes 3 weeks, I'll be happy to know that he's getting out and not,
Yeah, I'm happy to know that he's almost certainly going to be getting out at this point.
Yes.
It's an enormous relief to me. And I'm sure you as well, obviously. I'm sure everyone is enormously relieved, in fact. But let's go to the phones. We've got Rob calling from Vermont. Rob, you're on Free Talk Live.
My opinion is that they should let Ian and nobody out because they haven't physically harmed anyone. Matter of fact,
well, I would obviously agree that they should both be let out, but nobody's issue at this time is his own mouth, unfortunately.
Well, there were some people, I don't even call them people, but I call them dirtbags over at the detention center in Manchester. Those people were granted bail, and they actually physically harmed kids.
Oh, yeah, you're right. In Manchester, not Manchester. Are you talking about the ones in Massachusetts?
Well, yeah, the ones that were in all those individuals that were granted, some kind of bail. That's disgusting. It's sick. But yet they'll go ahead and they'll keep my friend Ian and my friend Nobody in jail for something that they didn't harm anybody. That's not the reason why I called. The reason why I called was because, not only is Bonnie my best friend, but still, and I ain't calling just to say that, but she's spot right on. There are women that are out there that will go ahead and they'll marry a man and then, have 3 or 4 kids and then turn around and say, well, geez, I'm not comfortable with this marriage. But hey, by the way, how are we going to work out with this child support? And hey, I need to, this place here to, for the children. You'll have to move out. Them kind of things do happen, or it's if you, let's say you go out on a night in a town where go have a couple of drinks at a local bar, and then maybe you might meet somebody. I might meet a gal, and then maybe you're going to have a couple of drinks. Maybe those drinks are just orange juice or milk, and then you decide at the end of your at the end of the bar that maybe you decide to go over to her place, or maybe she'll go over to your place, and then do the wild thing, and then turn around the next day, you raped me, she could say, because that's how it works in New Hampshire. Testimonial evidence by the victim is not required to be corroborated, which means that any man, woman, or child could sit on the stand and say, you raped me. Say you raped me. That's how it works in New Hampshire.
Wow, I never heard that.
I have never heard that either. That's certainly a larger issue that's, going on with society today. Dave Chappelle did a skit about this, the love contract or whatever it was called, where people literally were signing contracts about what they were and were not consenting to. And honestly, it's almost prescient when you look back at it, because we are approaching that point where I have had people ask me, oh, will you sign this saying that you're consenting to this before?
Have you?
No, I told them to get the hell out of my house.
I thought you were going to go, yeah, I did.
I consented to the activity. I don't consent to sign your stupid sheet of paper.
Good for you.
That's true. Like they could put anything on it later or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Rob,
creepy.
thank you so much for the call tonight. I'm not sure, how many women out there are actually like seeking out rich men in order to marry them and have their children so that they can divorce them. I would speculate that most rich men are probably aware of that behavior and get prenuptial agreements because of it. But then you have things like the Dogecoin millionaire who...
Dogecoin Poppy.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's not just women that exploit the system, it's men and women that exploit the system, and the real problem is the system.
Absolutely. You can't exploit a system that isn't there. So in other news, Bonnie, you found something that's really fascinating from motherboard.com. Now, Motherboard, I believe, is a tech site, aren't they?
Aren't they part of Vice? I could be wrong. It says Motherboard Vice, but is that their tech site or something?
I don't know, and I can't Google it to find out.
It is Vice, at least. Oh, yeah, it says Tech by Vice. The title is People Aren't Addicted to Wearing Masks. They're Traumatized.
And isn't Vice hard left?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first any type of mainstream media thing I've seen that seems to be almost criticizing the way that the lockdowns went last year.
Well, hopefully they're criticizing it.
Yeah, I haven't read it.
Yeah.
It says there's a glaring omission from the discussion about why some can't quit pandemic behaviors.
Is it because the government insists that there is still a pandemic?
Right.
Because that seems like the first place to start. Oh, people can't stop their pandemic behaviors because they're taking their cues from a government that's telling them we're still in a pandemic.
Yes. I met a nurse the other day that came in without wearing a mask. And she was saying, the numbers are dropping. And I was wearing a mask because I was working. And she was just like, the numbers are dropping. I don't need to wear a mask. And she's a nurse, so.
Well, the numbers are certainly dropping. But, they were always going to as more people got COVID and as more people got vaccinated. Mm-hmm. The fact that the restrictions haven't been completely lifted is what blows my mind at this point.
Yeah.
It's what exactly are they waiting on before they let life return to normal?
Well, they don't want to stop it because they have so much more power in jails now.
They wouldn't let me do jury duty because I wouldn't wear a mask.
Really?
Yeah, I went.
That.
Yeah, I went yesterday. I think it was. What's it? Yeah, the 11th. And the guy was like, "Well, if you don't want to wear a mask, I can excuse you." And I said, "No, I would like to do jury duty." And he said, "Well, do you have any idea how hard it is to find jurors right now with everything going on?" I said, "That's why I'm here." And he wouldn't. He said, "I can reschedule you." And I said, "Well, when do you think that will be?" And he said, 3 months. I bet we won't have to wear masks in 3 months.
3 months is so far away. And we're coming up on summertime here in New Hampshire.
Yep.
They're out of their minds if they think I'm doing this for the full summer. The mask mandates didn't even go into place here until after the summer of last year, and it wasn't too unbearable outside.
But the New Hampshire is no longer in place, right? It's per town?
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
Keene
So
still
Keene
has their in place, and God only knows when Keene will get rid of theirs.
Ian told me that he heard a rumor that Sununu was saying that soon in businesses in New Hampshire it will just be a recommendation and not a law or whatever. Or well, it was never a law, but
as I understand it, he's already let the mask mandate expire.
I'm pretty sure that did happen.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's just Keene keeping me wearing a mask in my
It is
job.
absolutely the city of Keene. 603-283-6160. We're going to talk about these people traumatized by the pandemic. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. There is an issue with the archive from last night. Someone is looking into it for me. Evidently, it never uploaded to the website. Or, I mean, it did upload, but it never actually posted. So I repeated the process today. It completed just fine, but it still isn't available on the site. So someone is looking into that. But you know what? I just realized that's Joe Biden's fault. That's a result of Joe Biden's America.
Yep. Wait, you're right.
Yeah, because that never happened under Trump. It's got to be Joe Biden. I'm taking my cues from Fox News here, which is one of 2 news websites I'm allowed to look at. We're going to talk about that later. Evidently, Chick-fil-A is experiencing some sort of sauce shortage. I don't know, because I don't hate chicken, and that's what Chick-fil-A is. And someone, at least, is calling it Joe Biden's fault.
Texans are so addicted to Chick-fil-A. I told my gay friend, I was just like, you know, they give money to like conversion therapy, right? I don't eat there. And he was just like, I don't care how other people spend their money. Just like, but you're giving them money to spend.
Yeah,
he likes their food.
I care how corporations and businesses are going to spend the money I give them. If they're going to use it on things like conversion therapy, I'd rather know that so I can shop at a business that won't do that.
Yeah,
but that's just me. And I've had Chick-fil-A before, being from the South. I don't see what the appeal is.
Me either.
Is there any in New Hampshire? Are there any here?
There's one in Nashua.
Yes,
okay.
You are correct.
And I wouldn't even care to go there because it's not much better than like chicken I can make myself. The only thing I'd say that's good is the Polynesian sauce, which is apparently out.
It's Biden's fault.
Definitely
he's
Biden's
president.
fault.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we're talking about mask trauma and this story from Motherboard, which is owned by Vice, in fact, about how people are addicted or not addicted to the pandemic response. They are, in fact, suffering from trauma.
Yes, it says that people aren't addicted to wearing masks, they're traumatized. There's a glaring omission from the discussion about why some can't quit pandemic behaviors, the mental and emotional toll of the last year. Around a month ago, Lauren Albanese went to the mall with her uncle and dad. It was the first time since the pandemic began that the 27-year-old from Staten Island had been around people outside her household. Wow. Well, that's insane.
That's terrifying.
Wow.
The first time in a year that she had been in contact with anyone other than those in her household.
And it said she just went to the mall, so she didn't go to the grocery store that whole time or anything. That's like psychotic behavior.
Yeah, it's no wonder she's traumatized. She's been living in isolation for the last year. That's literally torture, according to the Geneva Convention.
Wow. Says as they entered, Albanese froze. All the people around her seemed to move in slow motion. Her dad spoke to her, but she couldn't hear his words. She says, my body completely shut down, triggered by simply being around people. She said, I still feel like I don't have control over myself and how my body reacts after everything that's happened. It's, man, I used to live in a super small town for just 5 years, and then I moved to San Antonio, so I can almost relate. Like, I just felt like I lost social skills after only talking to, like, 150 people in a town for 5 years, and then I moved back. But it quickly came back, but I kind of can relate. Like, going from a super small town to a big town, I was just like, wow, how did I forget how to, like, talk to people?
You know, I have a problem going from, not a problem, but I don't enjoy going from here to North Carolina because there's so many more people driving around and I do not like traffic anymore. I'm like, this is not for me. I kind of get not anxious, but it's like uncomfortable.
That's a fair point. I mean, I used to be comfortable enough to drive through New York City, and now I don't really want to drive down Main Street here in Keene.
Right.
Main Street in Keene sucks.
Yeah, that's true. I think it is a unique problem to Main Street in Keene. I mean, if it's not someone not paying attention, it's a pedestrian who's not paying attention who's going to walk in front of you. Plus, there's the weird roundabout that has the cut through and then the fire truck going the wrong freaking direction. And
oh my God.
It's just not a fun place to be in Keene. I do everything I can to avoid driving on Main Street.
I hate roundabouts and
I love them.
I hate them.
Ever since I saw, how efficient they are, I've never sat in a roundabout nearly the length of time that I've sat at stop signs.
No, me neither.
Then I've just gotten unlucky because I was telling my boss this and also Ian, and both of them are like, no, you're wrong. Roundabouts are more efficient. It's proven they're more efficient. But to me,
proven.
It seems less efficient because people who are yielding in front of me are just not going when they can go. And I'm just like, you need to go. And they aren't going. Yeah, sorry. I hate when people are yielding and they just don't go.
Now, have you noticed that there are people that are from New Hampshire or from New England, or are they people like from Massachusetts, or like where do you think they're from?
I haven't noticed, but I'm not from here, but I also drive pretty dangerously.
It took me a moment to learn how to get to use the roundabout because we didn't have them in North Carolina. But once I figured it out, I was like, this is great. This is great.
It took me a while to figure it out too. Now that I figured out, it is better, but I would rather know exactly when my turn is and have the people in front of me know exactly when their turn is.
I have never gone to a four-way stop and actually had people go in the correct order.
Well, the correct order is, tell me.
It's whoever gets there first, and if you get there at the same time, it's the person on the right.
Perfect. Okay, I wanted to make sure.
But most people don't know that. They think if they came to a complete stop, then they must therefore be the next one to go.
Yep.
And that's how four-way stops actually function. You came to a complete stop, you're next. That's what everyone who drives in the South at these four-way stops seems to think.
That's what they do.
And that's one of the reasons roundabouts are so much better. You don't have to worry about that. Is the way clear? Am I going to kill someone if I go now? Okay, then I'm going.
I feel like people don't do that though. I don't know.
They absolutely do that.
It could be just because like I'm always like almost late to work and I'm like, go, you need to go right now.
Get out of my way.
I gave myself 8 minutes to get to work.
Maybe it's just a little road rage, Bonnie.
Oh yeah, I have road rage. I'm a really bad driver. I shouldn't be talking about this at all.
It could be that you're one of the people who I came to a complete stop. I must be next. In which case you probably wouldn't notice.
Well, everyone in Texas says San Antonio drivers are the worst, and that's like, yeah, I could see it. I'm probably just the worst.
No, there are some drivers from Massachusetts driving around Keene that are by far worse than you. I promise. Plus, Keene, no one in Keene is in a hurry to get anywhere.
I am.
I know. I appreciate that. But you're the only one. Everyone else, they are constantly driving like it's just a Sunday afternoon and they have nowhere to be and nothing important to do.
Maybe that's why I like Keene driving so much, because I'm just driving Miss Daisy.
I drive in Eclipse, but I don't speed or anything like that. And I generally am not in a hurry to get somewhere because I always arrive early. So what does it matter if it takes me a few minutes longer? But it still drives me crazy seeing, some old person or just some young person take like 4.5 minutes to make a right-hand turn because they're idling.
Yes.
And holding the brakes while they're doing it. It's like, will you go? Please?
That's a very nice way of putting it. Will you go, please?
Well, I guess it's only been since I got a job. That is pretty true, because it used to just be like, la, 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 driving around Keene. And now I have to, get to work. I'm always late.
Adulting.
But anyway, the Mythbusters did do an episode about roundabouts versus four-way stops. And it was pretty definitive that roundabouts get more people through faster.
I feel like the Mythbusters is the Joe Rogan of like the early 2000s. Like, it's what every man would bring up to like explain something, like to prove their point to me. Because that's exactly what my boss did. He said the Mythbusters. And Annie too, I think. Yeah, everybody's saying it's proven fact. I don't know. I don't see it. It's annoying because you have to worry about people deciding when they can go instead of just seeing a light,
I don't know. And regarding the Mythbusters, I mean, they did a really good show that was scientific content that was scientifically valid. So I think that's why a lot of people point to them. It made science interesting to people. And so a lot of people watched them until their budget got stupidly expensive because they were blowing up rocket cars and stuff like that. And Discovery couldn't pay them to continue doing it anymore. Predictable result is predictable. But I do like roundabouts, I will say. I hate red lights, but I like roundabouts. I wish we could replace just every intersection, just put a roundabout there.
Oh my God. They're so stressful. Like, seriously,
they're not stressful. They're fun.
You just have to know how to use them.
Oh my God. I hate them in neighborhoods. Like, they just stress me out when I see one coming up.
The only one that really stresses me out is the one between my house and Swansea. That's like the three-way roundabout that's way bigger than it needs to be.
Next to the post office?
I don't know. 603-283-6160. What are your thoughts? Roundabouts or four-way stops? 603-283-6160.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Are you a sneezer? If you're not, can you get close to one? I don't literally mean someone sneezing. Sneezer, as defined by marketing guru Seth Godin, is an opinion leader. When a sneezer mentions something, other people catch what Godin calls the idea virus. Seth Godin says some people are more likely to tell their friends about a great new idea. So identifying and courting sneezers is a key success factor for idea merchants. His book, Unleashing the Idea Virus, is the most downloaded ebook in history, and you can download the whole book free. That's how he's making his idea contagious. Click tips, tricks, and other stuff to help you cut through the clutter at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. You can join the discussion, talk about whatever is on your mind, talk about roundabouts if you want. It's Free Talk Live, whatever's on your mind, really. But the clock is ticking if you want to join us at Fork Fest, June the 28th through July the 4th, barely 2 months away. No, barely 1 month away.
Yeah, that's
just over a month.
It's more like 6 weeks at this point, yeah. So you better buy your tickets, or not your tickets, because there are no tickets. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, motel room, or RV site with Rogers Campground for June the 28th through July the 4th at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. As it stands, I imagine I will still be there. I expect Ian to be released, but I don't expect him to be allowed to go to Fork Fest. Time will tell, but I suspect he's going to be under house arrest based on what the judge was saying.
I don't want to speculate, but I agree.
Well, I kind of have to plan.
Was that speculating anyway?
Yeah, well, it's speculating, sure, because I haven't seen any of the
Well,
terms and
maybe it will just be like a GPS, and they just need to know where he is. So if he tells them, hey, this is where I'm going to be at this campground, then maybe they'll allow it.
Well, during the hearing, the judge seemed to suggest that Ian would be allowed to leave for health reasons, for work, and for grocery shopping, I think was the other one.
Yeah.
Which sounds to me like house arrest more than GPS monitoring. But hey, who knows?
I don't care if he's on bed rest. I will take care of him.
I don't think they can limit him to one particular room in his house, but I mean, we'll hopefully find this out soon. They were required to submit all of their proposals by noon tomorrow. So hopefully we'll know sooner rather than later. But one way or the other, Free Talk Live will be at Fork Fest. Whether it's me, whether it's Ian, or whether it's someone else, we'll be there. You got to come up and see us June the 28th through July the 4th. On that subject, I'm getting some new campaign signs made, where previously my campaign sign said F the police. My new ones, and RF for sheriff, my new ones are omitting the RF for sheriff part. Instead, it just says Aria DeMezzo, F the police, F the FBI too, thecrypto6.com.
I like it.
I will have those at Fork Fest, hopefully. It doesn't take that long to order them and get them. So Come check out one of those signs. Let's go to the phones, though. We've got Bobby calling from Florida. Bobby, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, we were wondering how many places in Keene after the raid can you still buy stuff with Bitcoin? And did they take all the ATM machines? And is there any other like places that will accept Bitcoin in Keene? And also, the Matrix chat was wondering about. We're worried about Angie, and she don't want to talk about it, but her eye, and we were wondering what happened there.
Okay, I'll start with my eye. I have animals, and I was using a muck rake to muck hay with my 3-year-old, and so she had her small muck rake, and she asked if we could switch, and this was Saturday evening, and I said, sure. And so I reached down, and I was mucking with her small muck rake, and she reached back with mine, and the corner at the end of my large metal muck rake caught me in the eye, and it was really big. But anyway, she told me very quickly, it's okay. Just breathe, Mom. Just breathe. And so, I wasn't upset, but it did hurt a little bit. But thank you for asking.
I was curious about it, but didn't want to ask in case it was something worse.
Yeah,
So
we've been picking that when people ask me, I should be like, I can't talk about it. My husband, it's not a good idea.
That's awful.
In regard to the other questions that you asked, Bobby, they did not take all of the Bitcoin vending machines in Keene. There is at least still 2, I believe, the one at Jake's 5-Star and the one at Corner News. They were owned by different entities, so they were not taken. I don't know what the status of those entities are. I know the owners of one of them were visited that day by the FBI, but it doesn't appear that they confiscated any of their vending machines. As to what you can still buy with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency here in Keene, well, my hands-on experience with that since the raid is 0, but as I understand it, Local Burger may have stopped taking Bitcoin. It's unclear. And the manager wasn't there the last time I was there, because I can still do tech support and help them, fix their tech issues, because this is a tech issue, and I have a long history of being a tech person. But the manager wasn't there. I was just dealing with one of the waitresses there, and she didn't know. She hadn't heard anything or been told that they had stopped taking Bitcoin, so presumably the tablet that they used is just out of commission. Or they decided, irrespective of the raid, I was the only Keene resident still going to Local Burger at that point, because the rest had been kicked out for doing social Sundays. They're maskless, and they felt unwelcome, so they stopped going. I was the only one willing to put on a mask to go in there to buy food. I'm not sure that if I was a business owner, I would be willing to continue a routinely problematic payment method just for one customer.
Right.
So I suspect that may also have been at play. But someone just went to the dentist recently, and they used cryptocurrency there. I'm not aware of anyone that stopped taking cryptocurrency specifically because of the raid.
Neither am I. Everybody that I've went to who I have spent crypto with before the raid is still taking it. And I've heard, about the dentist that a co-host went to the dentist and paid with crypto without an issue. So I don't think that there's an issue. I feel like I would definitely have heard about it.
I think it definitely would have reached me. I don't know. The only one that may be skittish about continuing to take Bitcoin would be Muhammad at the Indian place.
No, he was fine.
Okay. Well, I can't spend Bitcoin there. So the last time I was there, I was like, here's some dirty war money.
In fact, he went off on like a tangent about your boyfriend is such a good person and this is so wrong.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude.
He's
I like
so
him.
nice.
So hopefully that answered all your questions. I feel like there was at least one more in there, but I don't recall exactly what it was because he asked like 5 in very rapid succession. So hopefully we got to all of those. But we're talking about trauma now, and the reality that people like this person they're describing, she went a full year without physical contact with anyone not in her household. And her first reaction upon going to the mall was for her body to shut down. I would also argue that if you just spent a year effectively in isolation, maybe start with a smaller venue than
like the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start with something where you won't encounter massive crowds of people.
Yeah, the mall can already be kind of disorienting. So it says that she went to the mall and she said, I still feel like I don't have control over myself and how my body reacts after everything that's happened. Albanese, that's the woman's last name, tested positive for COVID-19 3 days after her grandmother died on April 8th, 2020. Not not a day goes by when I don't think about the events that took place over a year ago. Visual memories flood her mind. The difficulty of picking up her grandmother's ashes due to crematory backlogs. Getting extremely sick. Oh, so there were so many people dying that she had to go, like, it was hard to go get her grandmother's ashes. That really sucks.
That does, but I mean, it's not like they're going to expire or...
She's already dead.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. You may want your family's remains, but I mean, that's kind of macabre in the first place. I don't want the remains of my dead relatives.
I don't even have an opinion. Like, do I want to be buried? Do I want to be... I guess I should be thinking more of, like, my older boyfriend. Do I want him to be buried? Do I want his ashes? I don't know.
I don't care whether I'm buried or cremated or what, as long as they don't bother to embalm me, because that whole industry is just a scam.
I don't want my head frozen.
You won't decompose, right? If they embalm you, you won't decompose?
You will, but it's slower, and I don't remember the exact essay that I read about it, but it's stupid, and it's an obsolete industry. The only reason people still do it is because, we've always done it.
You can be a mummy.
To me, cremation is the way to go. Or it's just, I'm dead. What do I care?
Yeah, and they can just burn you with everything inside.
Yeah. I'm dead. I don't care what you do with my body because I'm dead and don't have any cares. Throw me in a ditch. I don't care.
That's what I told my kids.
Dead.
I said, I don't care what you do with me.
I guess it depends on what, like, your family or whatever wants to do.
In
like,
New Hampshire, can't you bury your body on your property?
Oh, wait, you can?
You're allowed to bury your family on your property.
That's awesome.
In New
I
Hampshire.
like that.
Why would it matter what my family wanted? It's my dead body.
You're dead. It doesn't matter. Too bad.
Okay, fair point.
Can't be embarrassed about it anymore. This says, visual memories flood her mind. Oh yeah, the difficulty of picking up her grandmother's ashes, getting extremely sick herself while trying to grieve, the inability to have a funeral, her grandma's assisted living facility dumping all of her grandmother's possessions, including her grandfather's ashes, into boxes. Okay, that's not dumping, but I thought she was going to say into the trash, but...
No, that sounds like standard procedure. Oh, your grandmother died. Here's her stuff.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Okay.
We packed it up for you.
So traumatized. Anyway, when she left the hospital the day after her grandma died, she saw a line of people outside the hospital who weren't permitted to enter. They just wanted to be near the building that housed their loved ones, Albanese said. That's sad. They didn't get to go in and see people die.
How old is this person?
It has
27.
Oh, 27. Yeah.
27. And the worst trauma she's ever experienced was some difficulty picking up her grandmother's ashes?
And her belongings.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com. I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A major energy pipeline shut down by a cyber attack. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Colonial Pipeline says it was targeted by a ransomware attack that forced it to temporarily shut down a pipeline that stretches from the Gulf of Mexico to New York. The company did not say what was demanded or by whom. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for improvements to the nation's energy infrastructure.
We have had a Department of Energy cybersecurity project at Oak Ridge Labs, and I've been pushing to bring all of our national labs into a consortium to work on this, because securing our nation's critical infrastructure is going to be an imperative because of these bad actors that are out there.
Energy analysts say the impact on fuel supplies and prices depends on how long the pipeline is shut down. Deportations have reached an all-time low as a record surge of new migrants and asylum seekers continues at the southern border. Fox's Bill Malusian in Del Rio, Texas.
Border Patrol reporting that just here in Del Rio in the past week alone, they've been averaging 740 apprehensions every single day. The local sheriff here telling us he's never seen it worse and that human smugglers have been taking advantage. A semi-truck that got pulled over by local police after folks out there reported seeing people in the back of the truck. Police pull it over and there were dozens of migrants in the back of that semi.
Customs officials report 162,000 migrants were detained in April, but about 30,000 got away. 3 people were dead, including a suspect, and 2 others are injured after a shooting and fire in Maryland. Baltimore County Police say officers found an armed man outside a burning home in Woodlawn and shot him. The fire damaged 2 other homes. America is listening to Fox News.
Finally, get curcumin and CoQ10 together. Stop Aging Now brings you CoQ10 Ultra to fight inflammation and energize your body. Get a 30-day supply for 40% off plus free shipping with promo code FOX. Power and protect your cells for a strong heart, sharp brain, pain-free joints, and more. Nancy from West Virginia raves, CoQ10 Ultra helps me stay mentally and physically fit. Only from Stop Aging Now. Get 40% off plus free shipping right now. Go to stopagingnow.com and use code FOX.
The Equality Act is stalling out in the U.S. Senate. Democrats had hoped they could pass the legislation creating new protections for LGBTQ Americans this year, but Republicans warn it would open the floodgates for transgender athletes to play on female sports teams. A large piece of a Chinese rocket from a launch last month is expected to fall back to Earth this weekend. Fox's Jill Nato reports.
A 23-ton rocket core careening out of orbit and headed for Earth. We don't know where it's going to hit, but researchers think they have an idea as to when. The Center for Orbital Reentry and Debris Study says it'll be around 0419 Greenwich Mean Time. That's 12:19 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday, give or take 8 hours. Because the Earth is mostly covered with water, chances are it'll hit an ocean. And some scientists believe as much as 40% of it will get burned up in the atmosphere. But if it hits land, whatever's left of it is bound to leave a mark. Jill Nato, Fox News.
At least 30 people were dead after a bomb exploded near a girls' school west of Kabul. The Taliban condemned the attack, and there's been no claim of responsibility. A well-known billionaire hosting tonight's Saturday Night Live show on NBC.
Tesla and SpaceX billionaire Elon Musk will take the stage this evening to try his hand at hosting the iconic show, which also features Miley Cyrus as musical guest. The announcement of Musk as Saturday Night Live host has drawn criticism on social media.
Free Talk Live.
You guys catch my State of the Union address the other night?
That was very nice.
Hey, this is George Bush?
I'm afraid so, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's fantastic to have you listening to the show.
I wanted to run some new ideas I had past you guys.
Okay, cool. We'll be your sounding board there, Prez.
Ice cream day.
I love Ice Cream Day. It's awesome. We should have Ice Cream Month and different flavors, just like Baskin Robbins.
Every Friday, Americans get free ice cream.
Now, I don't know
From where?
about that. Now, wait a minute.
From where, George? Ice Cream Angel's going to bring it down?
Yeah.
What about this one, guys? Everybody gets a pony in America.
It's very Texan. Presidents have a habit of just getting up and saying what sounds good, and then you don't do anything about it. I mean, really, you're not going to do anything. We all know that.
Well, most presidents don't do some of the things they promise. I promise not to do all of those things.
Awesome.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
In local news, 23-year-old graffiti artist Adam Zane has captured the heart of 19-year-old college sophomore Jessica Tisolo. Zane, who goes by the graffiti handle Slice, met Tisolo last summer at an annoyingly self-aware dive bar where the talentless artist caught Tisolo's eye with his cliched sleeve tattoos of trite Japanese imagery and the fact that he was wearing a winter hat indoors in the middle of June.
His art is really just the absolute worst. I think we're going to get married someday.
And now for This Week in Tech, brought to you by LG. An excited groom sends text messages to his buddies during his bride's vows, and a collection of VHS tapes are held onto for one more year. In other news, a burglar makes sure to crack the glass on a family portrait before leaving. There's nothing in the employee handbook about groping dead co-workers, an employee says, and a report finds that nobody's heard from David Blaine in a while, so somebody should probably check to see if he died in one of those things. Mere seconds have passed, yet we feel as though we've known you 1,000 lifetimes. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. Once again, the first number to come to my head was again my cell phone number, but I actually managed that time to stop myself without giving out any part of my cell phone.
Have you put out part before?
I've given all but the last digit before I caught myself once, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh no.
That could have been exciting.
Not really.
All hours of the night.
The vast majority of people who watch Free Talk Live on the live streams and who would have caught it are trolls who don't care much for me or for Ian. And I would rather they not have my cell phone number.
Good call.
But with you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
Angie.
And Bonnie.
And we're talking about the trauma that people have experienced throughout the last year. This one, the one we're talking about, their example is a bit weak.
I feel like I can go through more of a stronger example of myself with trauma from the government lockdowns than this woman. She was saying her grandma died. It took a while to get the ashes because lots of people were dying at the same time.
And I mean, that's unfortunate, but that's not traumatizing.
Yeah, everybody's grandma dies.
And then they packed up her things.
They put them they dumped them in a box.
And sent them to her because her grandmother was dead and they no longer needed her grandmother's
They needed
stuff
the room
at the nursing home.
I don't get it. Yeah, they literally said they dumped her grandmother's possessions, including her grandfather's ashes, into boxes.
What else are they supposed to ship it in?
Well, now they could be together.
Good point. But on the subject of trauma, I did play Resident Evil 8 or The Village on my day off, and it just about opens with this scene of the power being cut to your house and armed dudes coming in, blasting with guns. And I was like, you know what? God. This is as close to a flashback as I ever want to get. I did not care for that at all.
I can't play scary. I mean, I don't really play video games very much, but if I did, I would not play a scary one.
Oh, I love scary games. I just did not expect to,
be able to relate to a game like that.
Yeah. I don't want to ever watch that particular scene again. But that's probably more akin to actual trauma than what this person is talking about.
That's all they described for their trauma in it. And then the next paragraph, she says, needless to say, or this isn't her, it's Motherboard. Needless to say, it hasn't been easy for Albanese to adjust back to normal. And as the United States improves its COVID-19 situation, with daily case numbers a fraction of what they were during the January peak, largely due to vaccinations, there's been a small but vocal backlash against those who, like Albanese, aren't swiftly shaking off the events or newly acquired safety behaviors of the last year.
Where is this happening? Because all I see here in Keene are people, insisting that Sununu's an idiot for lifting the mask mandate.
I haven't heard much discourse since I just kind of stay in this libertarian bubble, but everywhere I go, I see people wearing masks. Like in the, what is it called? Home Goods. I've been there twice recently, and I've noticed that they even play a little ad in the store that says, if you have a medical exemption, you don't have to wear a mask, which is weird. But everybody else
You have to or do not have to?
do not have to. But everybody else is still wearing a mask. I never wear a mask when I go in there. And one time somebody said to me, like, do you want a mask? And I was like, no, I have a medical exemption, actually. And he was just like, okay. So you don't have to wear a mask in there, but people still do. Everyone else still does.
Well, I'm in a bit of a gray area with it right now because I'm legally required to follow all local ordinances, and that would include the mask mandate. If they actually pushed and called the police,
then you could get in trouble.
I would be violating my parole. So
Yeah.
I
Oh
find
my
it
God.
safer if I'm going into a place to just put on a mask.
Wow. That's annoying.
It is tremendously annoying.
Before that, did you wear one?
No.
Everywhere?
Not if it could be avoided.
Yeah.
I would wear one for like local burger because you can't get local burger anywhere else.
Right.
But if I needed something from a gas station, I would just go to one that wouldn't require a mask. I've noticed that the sign on Elm Street Market's door has changed. They initially sounded very pro-mask, very pro extreme pandemic response, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But now their sign says, due to the city ordinance, we have to have this sign up that says masks are required. So initially it seemed like it was voluntary, but now they're saying, look, it's because of the ordinance. We have to say that they're required.
I wonder if they really just are losing a lot of customers, because I know Captain has said on the show, like, he stopped going there because, like, he was a regular and he stopped going there because they had tried to make him wear a mask. I went there to pick
Elm Street Market?
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. Is that the same as Elm Street Brewery?
No.
Never mind then. I'm lying.
Yeah, I would have been surprised to find that he went to Elm Street Market. I mean, it's right over here, which is the reason I go to it, because it takes me 2 minutes out of my way to stop by it on the way to the studio.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it, but I've never been in there.
Listen, they have a store cat, a shop cat.
That's cute.
It is. I put a box of wine up there one day, and then suddenly there was this cat, and I got to pet it, and it was great.
You're like, I'm coming back. I'll be here every day.
I never expected a shop cat to be so friendly, to just like jump on the counter like, hey, random person, pet me. You know, cats are usually more skittish than that, but this one was not.
But that's the kind of cat that you want if you're going to have one in a business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to the article, it says there have been warnings of the dangers of extreme COVID caution, which is in parentheses and underlined. And 5:30.
Did anyone tell the television commercials this?
What do you mean?
When I was at Fork Fest last year, I always fall asleep with the television on. I just have to have the background noise to shut off my brain. Normally, I'm able to watch something that doesn't have advertisements because I know what ad block is. So if I just throw on something on YouTube and I don't have to watch the commercials. But at Rogers Campground, I had to watch, the regular plain old commercials that everyone else has to see. And they were filled with fear-mongering regarding COVID-19. After just one day of seeing some of these commercials, I completely understood why people were so terrified. They were being bombarded with this stuff constantly. From Nike to car commercials to every single commercial that played managed to talk about COVID-19 and masks and social distancing and the threat that hung over us all. So I have no doubt that people who have been watching television for 35 hours a week, which, by the way, is how much television the average American watches, are absolutely terrified. They've had this glowing box, one that they trust, beaming at them for more than a year about how endangered they are from COVID-19.
Have they included the stuff in like the sitcom series, like on the shows? Do they include like the mask problems that people are facing, or like
that's a good question.
Issues, like, or is it just like the normal CSI episode where like somebody dies and they do an investigation, or have they included that? Do you know?
That's a good question. Do they wear masks in CSI?
I don't know.
I don't know
haven't
because
noticed.
I don't really watch stuff like that, but
Me
I'm
either.
sure someone out there does. Give us a call and let us know, because now I'm really curious about it. In latest episodes of shows, like through the last year, did they start wearing masks?
It would be strange if they didn't, honestly, because it's so, like, part of everyone's lives. Like, if it shows people going to a grocery store, are they going to be putting on masks to go inside, or no? Because that would be weird if they didn't. Like, what world are they living in?
It would be weird if they did, though, because you
yeah.
kind of need to see an actor or actress
To be able to tell the emotions and exactly.
Know who's talking, yeah.
I'm really curious now to know how all of that was done.
And what you were saying about the commercials is, like, it's not just that they would be scared because of these commercials. They'll also feel like heroes, because the main thing I've noticed from the commercials is, like, we're all in this together and, like, we're all doing this. And that's so annoying. Like, don't act like you're a hero because you put a mask on.
Well, they want to feel like they're doing something to help other people, right? And the mask gives them a really easy, really simple way to do this without actually having to do anything like volunteer at a charity or something like that. They can just put on this mask and suddenly they're a good person.
Or I donated all of these masks to the hospital.
Yeah.
Look how wonderful I am.
Instead of putting that money to use in a better way.
I still don't believe that the masks do anything, and the reason is because I see people at my own job just touch them constantly, and myself, like I'm always just like scratching my nose because there's like a little fiber tickling my nose and stuff like that, and I'm like, ew, I just touched my mask.
That's where I'm at with it. Masks absolutely would work if people could refrain from touching them. I mean, the logic is there, and I'm not going to argue against that. Look, it stops spit particles. That's a given, okay? But if people are constantly touching them, they're just getting that spit onto their hands, and then they're going on to touch the doorknob, the cash register, the drink cooler, whatever, and they're spreading their spit directly to that, whatever it is they're touching. So it probably exacerbates the problem in real terms. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160. With you in the studio is Aria, Angie, and Bonnie, and I got to say I'm disappointed. We do have two callers, but neither of them want to answer the question about how sitcoms are handling the masking and the social distancing and all of that. And I can't just go on the internet and Google that like other people can. And I don't know what you would even Google to find out the answer to that. It seems like you would just have to have been watching television throughout the last year in order to know the answer. And I don't remember the last time I just sat down and watched television. Even at Forkfest, it was just on so I could go to sleep. I wasn't sitting there like actively watching it like, oh no, Rick and Morty's on. I got to sit here and watch this.
It would be even weirder if cartoons are doing it.
I don't know. I Googled it, and it's just a quick Google says that once the camera starts rolling, mask wearing, testing, and physical distance are hit or miss per show.
Okay. But what reaches the viewer? You know, that's my question. And what about the movies coming out? Were they wearing masks in the movies?
Yeah, I haven't seen like a picture of like a new movie coming out and then there's like a picture of them wearing masks or anything like that. So
it seems like it's going to be really hard for them to continue selling this pandemic idea if they're not putting, sitcom actors in masks.
Yeah, because people feel like they relate to those shows.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I've gone through that.
yeah, it's kind of not fair. Like if Hollywood gets to push the masks, they got to wear the masks in the show to make their show suck.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that assessment. Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Vernon calling from New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
All right. So I got a great idea for a new show name for this. Instead of Free Talk Live, we call it Mask Talk Live. Because it's like I would say at least 60 to 70% of the show is now just talking about masks. What do you all think?
I think it's the most prevalent issue going on in our lives right now. People are forcing people to wear clothing, a specific item of clothing. Like, that's odd. That should be talked about every day like it's freaking weird.
Vernon, I don't disagree with you. I remember a year ago sitting here in this very seat talking about how sick I was of talking about masks and COVID-19. A year later, I'm still sick of it.
Live. I love Free Talk Live, and you all have some great opinions. But as a listener, I'm just giving you my own personal opinion. Maybe mix it up a little bit more. And I know I can call in and bring up whatever topic I want, and maybe I should do that some more. But my topic tonight is this, and so thank you for taking this into consideration.
Wait, but Vernon, before you go, do you have any relationship advice you need?
Do I have any relationship advice? Actually, sure. Yeah, I love talking about this. But it's not a relationship with my significant other. Okay, it's a relationship with my brother. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So my brother, about 2 years ago, probably about 2 years ago at this point, he was living in Denver, and he was on a 6-month contract. And all of a sudden, after his contract was up, he got a new job. But then all of a sudden, he decided he wanted to be disabled. And so he says he suffers from these headaches. But he's taken it to a real extreme where all of a sudden he was watching TV and these headaches hit him. So he no longer wants to work. He sits in this wheelchair all day. He sits and just lives off this inheritance, and it drives me bananas. And I have absolutely no respect for it because I am completely opposite. Like, I work full time. I've worked since I was 15. I pay for everything. And what advice maybe am I being too insensitive? Maybe he really does have a problem, and I am just not being sensitive enough toward it. But there's really do things like that really happen that drastically?
I think that they can, but migraines are really bad. I've known multiple people that get them, and they're just completely debilitating. Like people with kids who have to give their kids to the other parent because they just can't take care of them at that moment because it hurts so bad.
Yeah,
but one doesn't generally deal with migraines on a daily basis. I mean, my mother pulled this crap, and ultimately, in her case, it was just that she didn't want to work. She wanted to live off of government welfare.
I think that
exactly.
But didn't you
that's
say
exactly
he was
what
living off of his inheritance? He's not living off of the government in welfare. Is that right?
Right, but he's trying to get it. He's got an attorney and all that stuff, and he's going through Social Security. I doubt it'll be approved because of his resources, but it's still ridiculous. I mean, it's over where I live, by the way. So many people try to do that. It is so frustrating. I'm married, and my wife's side of the family, her mom and dad are on disability, and I know that they could work, but gosh, they just don't.
The system is set up. Well, the system is set up to support these types of people. That way, the government can continue to control and determine what they do and they don't do with their things. Because if the government says, if you want to be disabled, I'll pay you, but you're not going to go and do this, and you're not going to do this, and so that's just another form of control, and people are just willing to go with it because it's easy and they're taken care of.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole.
With my brother, though, do you all think I should be a little more because I take a hard line on this, and every time I see him, I'm I don't know. Should I be more sensitive toward him, or should I continue this hard line?
Maybe if you want to give it one more try, just tell him I'm going to give you a day where we look something up and we do everything that should help a migraine, and you tell me how you're feeling, and maybe from then you can tell if he's BSing.
Do you care about your brother? Is he your only brother? Do you have a good relationship other than this with your brother?
I mean, he's always been immature, so I would say it's been 50-50, good and bad.
I say let it go. There are bigger problems to argue about. If he wants to be a loser and do this, then let him do that and just love him for who he is.
All right, thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for the call tonight. That was unexpected. I didn't expect him to have a ready to go relationship to
me
talk
either.
about.
And it was bam, here it is.
Well, I was actually asking if he needed a relationship advice because I have the best boyfriend ever, so I realized that I'm qualified to give relationship advice. But that was cool too.
Well, I mean, it was a relationship. I'm just still blown away by how readily he had that whole thing ready to go. That was shocking.
Oh, wait, you're right. He was asking for advice. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But prior to that, he mentioned, the mask talk and all that. Look, dude, no one is more sick to death of talking about masks and COVID-19 than we are. Will the news please give us something else to talk about? But I'm not going to stop talking about it until my life is able to go back to normal. That's the point at which I'll stop about it. Just because everyone is vaccinated doesn't mean anything to me. Just because everyone else is stop fighting with me about masks, not going to make me stop talking about it. Until I'm able to actually go back to normal and not be treated like I'm a plague-carrying rat to be avoided at all costs, I'm going to continue talking about it. I don't want to talk about it, but more than not wanting to talk about it, I don't want to be treated like a plague-carrying rat.
I feel like it has gotten better in regular life, but I hadn't even noticed until Ian went to jail how completely bad it is in jail still. They'll just treat you like you're in solitary confinement if you don't want to wear a mask. And if you don't, and if you have a medical reason not to wear a mask, they'll still do that.
Well, I mean, you're in jail, so they're going to do what they want for the most part anyway.
But you're treated worse than the regular prisoners who wear a mask. It's just
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. Still holding out hope that someone is going to call in and let me know what sitcoms and movies and stuff have been doing about actors or characters in the shows wearing masks. Because I don't really care what the actors are doing there when they're filming the show or whatever. I want to know how it's portrayed as the characters.
Like on the TV. How do you see them?
That's a weird thing for them to do, to go and promote masks publicly and then make a show where none of the characters are wearing masks. Like, that's an alternate reality altogether. That's just weird.
Well, they're all alternate realities.
Yeah, but I don't know.
None of them are real, even the reality TV ones.
But that's just like proving that nobody wants to be in this reality.
It's just bizarre to me. I want to know how they're handling it, and because I have a lot of younger, ultra liberal friends running around here in Keene and on Facebook and stuff like that. And they talk about, experiencing anxiety when they look at old pics from 2018 and see large crowds of people not wearing masks.
That is crazy.
It is. But so how would they feel watching a sitcom or something where no one's wearing a mask? Everything is just normal. So I want to know how sitcoms have been handling that.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to know the answer, let us know. 603-283-6160. We've got Nate calling from Maine. Nate, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, yes. Before I get to my topic, real quick about your mask thing, I haven't seen it in sitcoms, but I know that in Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead: The World Beyond, I have noticed them wearing masks for different reasons, obviously, but
The zombie virus.
So do the characters in The Walking Dead just walk around in these cloth masks now?
Well, no, like in Fear the Walking Dead, when I was watching, I haven't seen the whole current season yet, but the episodes that I did see, they were shoveling shit. And
oh,
they had
you can't
masks
say
over
that,
their
dude. I got to dump you. Have a good night. Yeah, there's some words that you can and can't say on terrestrial radio.
I can understand how that's a questionable one. I mean, I could understand how it would be a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I get it. Bye.
Yeah, my sister just dropped an F-bomb. And I warned her so many times before she called. She was like, I kept telling myself, don't cuss. And then she dropped an F-bomb.
Boom.
She did, but that taught us that our dump button did not work. But it does work now. So that did not go out onto terrestrial radio. Unfortunate, because I would have liked to have known the rest of what Nate wanted to say, but it happens. Getting back into this other story then about the trauma that people are experiencing in regard to COVID-19. And we always bring it back to the mask because that's the most obvious of the problems caused by COVID-19. Obviously, I'm no fan of the social distancing, the plastic barriers they put up everywhere, the whole, you can't be that close to this person. I'm not a fan of any of that either. But they're not as visible as the masks. And they're not as uncomfortable, to be totally honest. Standing on the other side of a plastic barrier from the cashier is not as uncomfortable to me as having to wear a mask to go in there and shop.
I could not go into the town office to get my tags, and there's a glass door, and there's this little hole in that you go in the hallway, and then the person is behind the desk, and there's a wall and a glass. And she said, you have to go outside. So I was like, okay. So I gave her my paper and I went outside, and she had to come out to get cash. And I asked her, I said, this is silly. You're getting more risk coming to me outside because we're interacting and there's no glass in the middle. She said, well, I know there's no one in here now, but it's for all of the people in the hallway. And I was like, oh, there's no one. No one.
All the imaginary people in the hallway that were more important than you.
Yes. And we were all protected from me.
These imaginary people.
No one.
That's the level of hysteria that we've been talking about all night.
Mm-hmm.
And the article brought up the dangers of extreme COVID caution, which we started bringing up because we think that possibly if you're using extreme caution in the commercials and stuff like that, it's just going to make people even more scared. It says, there have been warnings of the dangers of extreme COVID caution. 538's Nate Silver tweeted, I'd argue one sign of irrationality is if a person doesn't change their behavior much after being vaccinated. This viewpoint was best summarized in an article from Emma Green in The Atlantic called Liberals Who Can't Quit the Lockdown. Lurking among the jubilant Americans venturing back out into the bars and planning their summer wedding travel is a different group. Liberals who aren't quite ready to let go of the pandemic restrictions.
Why would anybody want to hold on to this? It's been abysmal. It has sucked. We were talking last night. I haven't been to a live rock concert in a year and a half now, simply because there aren't any to go to.
Yeah.
And I live for music. The last year and a half has sucked. I want this crap to be over with as soon as possible, which is why I've always been an advocate of, hey, let's just carry on doing our thing and let this virus run its course so that life can go back to normal. It would have taken 2 weeks tops.
But now they're saying that this will be an every fall thing, every fall winter thing. The mask will have to come back out and we'll have to put them back on.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read it. I don't know where I read that, but I read it recently.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't have to put them back on.
No,
I'm not insane.
I don't think people will. Once they once they go back to living without having to wear the mask, I don't think you'll be able to get the average person to put one back on.
I think you're wrong. I think the average person will do exactly what they're told when they're told. They'll say, oh gosh, here it comes. If you don't wear your mask, you're going to get sick. You can't go out. You can't do this. And the matter, let me put my mask on, and let me go to the grocery store. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I hope that they will remember how nice it is to be able to breathe freely, to see other people's smiling faces, to interact with them on a human level, to not have to stay 6 feet away from them, and that they will say, you know what, I'm never doing that crap again. I can't believe I went along with it the first time. That's my hope.
I hope so too.
They have, they have the concerts and stuff will be the incentive to wear the mask. Like I just noticed, not just noticed, but I saw last night that Kim Petras, probably like one of my top favorite artists of all times. I went to her concert at the end of 2019. 2019. Is going to be in a concert in Los Angeles, which, I mean, I couldn't go anyway because it's in Los Angeles, but it's going to be on my birthday. And
why couldn't you go because it's in Los Angeles?
Well, I just don't want to drive or fly to Los Angeles. I don't know. Like if it was happening anywhere near me, I'd want to go. But either way, I don't want to go because I don't want to have to wear a mask and all this crap you have to do to go to her concerts now. It's her first concert since I don't know, the beginning of 2020, and that's just ridiculous and sad. That's a what is the word? A bribery, like to all the people who love Kim Petras. Like
you have to wear a mask to go to the concert. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, and I'm sure plenty of people are going to be like, oh yeah, I definitely wear a mask to go to Kim Petras. Are you crazy?
Well, I mean, the media has certainly openly talked about this. Hey, we can't continue the lockdown or the social distancing or the mask or any of that, or we won't be incentivizing people to get the vaccine. If we promise them that everything is going to return to normal, then they'll be more incentivized to get the vaccine.
But if that was the case, then once they got the vaccine, they would not have to wear a mask.
Right.
Or it would not matter if you didn't wear your mask because I've had my vaccine.
Or if you didn't get vaccinated.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nope, not at all.
Vaccinated people are being told by anyone, oh, you need to avoid contact with people who aren't vaccinated, but you're vaccinated.
Yes, exactly. I thought the vaccinations were supposed to protect you from things like that.
Yes, I thought the whole point was to reduce the possibility of you getting COVID-19 to the degree where you could carry on your normal life. Isn't that the point?
That you would think so, but maybe they're telling people not to be around others who are not vaccinated because they know that you are going to shed and that you are going to spread it like wildfire to the people who are not vaccinated.
But wouldn't they want that?
Well, you would think so, but I don't know.
I mean, if it was actually doing its job and just keeping people from getting sick, it seems like a vaccine that automatically spreads from one person to the next would be a good thing.
Maybe they're trying to segregate everybody. They're like, okay, these people do not get vaccinated. And if we tell the people who got vaccinated to stay away from these people, we'll know which ones we need to go after when crap hits the fan.
There's certainly some level of that going on. We got a caller last night who was talking about this locker room where people who were vaccinated get to put yellow stickers on their lockers, and people who are unvaccinated have to use the blue stickers on their
lockers. Where at, like at a work or?
I think it was at a gym or something. I don't recall exactly where, but yeah, there's certainly some level of segregation and us and them nonsense going on. All of this, we're in this together stuff. Oh, but not if you're not vaccinated. We're not in this together anymore. 603-283-6160.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, and for those who aren't aware, we're hoping that Ian Freeman is going to be released from police custody very, very soon. For those who haven't been keeping up with the story at all, he's in jail because on March the 16th, a joint task force of government agencies, including the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, the IRS, the FBI, and I don't remember who else was involved. It was a long list. I think it was 6 different government agencies targeted Free Talk Live, Ian Freeman, myself, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, by the way, a 60-year-old grandmother, always worth pointing out, and arrested us. You can find out more about it at thecrypto6.com. There are multiple ways to donate to the Legal Defense Fund because these charges aren't a joke and they're going to affect cryptocurrency. What the outcome of this case is going to affect cryptocurrency for decades to come. If you care about financial freedom or liberty or, Free Talk Live being able to do what it's doing, which sort of requires the host to not be in jail, you may consider donating to the Legal Defense Fund at thecrypto6.com. The word 6 or the number 6, it doesn't matter, thecrypto6.com. Let's keep going with the phones. We got Smiley calling from Orange County. Smiley, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi.
Hey, what's on your mind?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the COVID situation. I've been listening for a little bit now. I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. I guess I have somewhat of an alternative perspective, specifically on the lockdown and mask stuff. And I kind of agree on the things you guys have been saying from like a liberty perspective. But from a more selfish point of view, it's a little embarrassing, but I guess you could call me an incel. Like I've never had a girlfriend or been with anyone like that. And it was only once we all started to like wear masks and do these virtual dates and stuff that I've had any interaction with women, because I'm hideous, and kind of having that mask on, I can talk to people, and I have this new sense of confidence. And I'm a little bit nervous about what it's going to be like when that goes away.
Let me tell you something. I really don't believe that you are too hideous to get a girlfriend. And
no, and I want to quote George Bernard Shaw here. No one has ever been too ugly to get a partner if that's what they wanted.
yeah, it's all about what other things you bring to the table, like, your personality and having fun and just things you're interested in and maybe the girl's interested in too. It's really not all about looks. In fact, I used to have this like debate all the time with people. I was like, I hate that fat guys think they're ugly, because honestly, sometimes fat guys can be hot, and it makes me so sad that they think they're ugly. Like I don't want a fat guy with low self-esteem. Like, some fat guys are hot. If they had high self-esteem, they'd be hotter.
Yeah, I definitely, as you can imagine, it's not something I haven't heard before, and I appreciate, the sentiment behind it. But from my, you can see from my perspective, my lived experience, it kind of feels like certain factors are holding me back. Like, I don't know how much you guys are into the literature, but I feel like my wrist size is pretty damning, and I'm not too tall either. I've got a serious height issue. Sorry, this is kind of hard to talk about.
Smiley, do you have a lot of before the pandemic? I know that you said you weren't like intimate that way with females, but do you have a lot of friends, like a lot of girls that are friends?
I mean, well, definitely not any females. No, I mean, in terms of friends, the closest thing you could say is friends is, other men that I talk to about kind of the woes of being with women, and also I have a couple of friends that I play World of Warcraft with, but in terms of female friends, no, it's hard to see, I guess, the value in kind of maintaining that platonic relationship.
When you go out in public and you talk to a woman, like there's a cashier and she's a female, are you friendly? Do you smile? Like, do you like make conversation, or are you just like, thank you and bye?
Well, that's like that's what makes the mask thing so, and I get it. I get why everyone else hates it, but it's so incredible for me because, in the past I would kind of freak out if it was a woman behind the cash register. But now I have the mask on, and it's like she can't see that I'm grimacing. She can't see the sweat, on my face, and I can kind of pretend, like I'm a Chad. I can pretend like I have any confidence and get like a smile or something.
Why don't you have any confidence?
I've never gotten as far as I have before until the mask stuff started happening.
Why don't you have any confidence?
I feel like it's a multifaceted issue. I mean, like I said, on one hand, I do believe that there are genetic factors that go into attractiveness, and you can't really change genetics. Although I have considered, because in China, I feel like they're a lot more, blunt about this kind of stuff. And so if I was thinking about, going to China and getting the height, like the height, what do you call it? Where they lengthen your
Where they like
legs,
stretch your body?
Yeah.
How tall are you? Like, I've dated someone as short as, like, I don't know, 5'6".
Well, I'm 5'4", so it's a little.
We are the same height. That's a great height.
It's really not like a absolute, like, you can't date a girl if you're 5'4". I really don't think so. In fact,
Do you think I would have more success if I tried to date men? Because maybe, you said we're the same height.
No, I mean, no.
Do you want to date?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Do you want to date men?
Are you attracted to men?
but I'm desperate.
Then you're not going to be more successful.
No.
I mean, if you want to date men, you'll probably be more successful with that.
Actually, you know what?
It sounds like it may be a way to go. If women make you that nervous that talking to a female cashier makes you sweat and stuff, sounds like dating a dude may be the way to go.
I think you need to think less about wanting to date someone and more about just like loving your life in general. And if you're having a fun time and a good time when you're, talking to this girl at the grocery store, then it'll come through. It won't be just like, oh, I need to get her. You know what I mean? They won't be like, oh, I need to date her right now. It's more just like, oh, yeah, I'm having a great time and I'm happy and you guys have a good conversation. I mean, I don't necessarily think you should pick up your grocery store clerk because
I would
it's just
generally
working.
recommend against that, yeah.
But, in life in general, just like stop focusing on dating.
No,
just try to make
I don't
friends.
believe a person can, because the whole dichotomy of male-female sexual relationships is that the male is the predator and the female is the prey. If he's not seeking that out, it's not just going to land at his lap. He has to actively seek out that relationship.
You bring up the cashier, you bring up that dynamic, the thing I think of when you say, like, maybe don't ask of the cashier, I'm thinking, well, the cashier, she's at work, she can't really leave. And, you bring up that dynamic, like, how am I supposed to ignore that staring me right in the face?
Well, I mean, find a girl who's not at work, like go to a bar or something and,
Or a park or anything.
And just because she can't leave doesn't necessarily mean she's interested. Like, that might give you the false hope that she's interested because she's being nice to you.
Yeah, she's doing her job.
I don't have any hope at all. I don't think anybody's interested. Are you familiar with the term app maxing?
I am not.
No. Should we ask?
I'm on at least 5 different dating apps at any one time, and I probably spend it like 12 hours a day flipping through Tinder and Bumble and Hinge, just constantly swiping, trying to get, and I get maybe 2 matches every month, and they usually end fairly quickly, or they're bots.
I think that if you're spending 12 hours a day on any app, then you're probably not putting enough effort into your life that would attract a woman. And I don't think that means you need to go out every single time you leave your house is in an effort to get a date, but you need to be focusing on other things and have other things going for you and, have something exciting to talk about with someone, and then the next time you happen to meet a girl, definitely don't do nothing, because if you're just sitting in your house, then you're never going to meet anyone. But I think that is an issue when somebody's constant topic on their mind is getting a date, because it's going to be obvious.
Smiley, thank you so much for the call tonight. There's a lot to unpack there. Lord Porcupine on D-Live has suggested stop swiping, start messaging. I would generally agree with that assessment as well. That's probably a better way to handle it. I used Tinder very briefly, and I realized that it was never going to lead to much of anything that was going to be worth my time. Like, it probably wouldn't be unusual to spend 12 hours on there to get a single date.
You mean I'm not going to find my Dogecoin Poppy?
Way to bring it back. Probably not. 603-283-6160. You can talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A major energy pipeline shut down by a cyber attack. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Colonial Pipeline says it was targeted by a ransomware attack that forced it to temporarily shut down a pipeline that stretches from the Gulf of Mexico to New York. The company did not say what was demanded or by whom. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for improvements to the nation's energy infrastructure.
We have had a Department of Energy cybersecurity project at Oak Ridge Labs, and I've been pushing to bring all of our national labs into a consortium to work on this, because securing our nation's critical infrastructure is going to be an imperative because of these bad actors that are out there.
Energy analysts say the impact on fuel supplies and prices depends on how long the pipeline is shut down. Deportations have reached an all-time low as a record surge of new migrants and asylum seekers continues at the southern border. Fox's Bill Malusian in Del Rio, Texas.
Border Patrol reporting that just here in Del Rio in the past week alone, they've been averaging 740 apprehensions every single day. The local sheriff here telling us he's never seen it worse and that human smugglers have been taking advantage. A semi-truck that got pulled over by local police after folks out there reported seeing people in the back of the truck. Police pull it over and there were dozens of migrants in the back of that semi.
Customs officials report 162,000 migrants were detained in April, but about 30,000 got away. 3 people were dead, including a suspect, and 2 others are injured after a shooting and fire in Maryland. Baltimore County Police say officers found an armed man outside a burning home in Woodlawn and shot him. The fire damaged 2 other homes. America is listening to Fox News.
Finally, get curcumin and CoQ10 together. Stop Aging Now brings you CoQ10 Ultra to fight inflammation and energize your body. Get a 30-day supply for 40% off plus free shipping with promo code FOX. Power and protect your cells for a strong heart, sharp brain, pain-free joints, and more. Nancy from West Virginia raves, CoQ10 Ultra helps me stay mentally and physically fit. Only from Stop Aging Now. Get 40% off plus free shipping right now. Go to stopagingnow.com and use code FOX.
The Equality Act is stalling out in the U.S. Senate. Democrats had hoped they could pass the legislation creating new protections for LGBTQ Americans this year, but Republicans warn it would open the floodgates for transgender athletes to play on female sports teams. A Chinese rocket from a launch last month is expected to fall back to Earth this weekend. Fox's Jill Nato reports.
A 23-ton rocket core careening out of orbit and headed for Earth. We don't know where it's going to hit, but researchers think they have an idea as to when. The Center for Orbital Reentry and Debris Study says it'll be around 0419 Greenwich Mean Time. That's 12:19 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday, give or take 8 hours. Because the Earth is mostly covered with water, chances are it'll hit an ocean. And some scientists believe as much as 40% of it will get burned up in the atmosphere. But if it hits land, whatever's left of it is bound to leave a mark. Jill Nato, Fox News.
At least 30 people were dead after a bomb exploded near a girls' school west of Kabul. The Taliban condemned the attack, and there's been no claim of responsibility. A well-known billionaire hosting tonight's Saturday Night Live show on NBC.
Tesla and SpaceX billionaire Elon Musk will take the stage this evening to try his hand at hosting the iconic show, which also features Miley Cyrus as musical guest. The announcement of Musk as Saturday Night Live host has drawn criticism on social media.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Pushed to the breaking point after constantly being taken to task without ever hearing a word of thanks for what it does around here, an overwhelmed and infuriated nation announced in February that it was trying, okay? Jesus Christ. A poll of the American populace revealed that 33% felt they were doing pretty damned well, thank you, while another 28% just wanted 2 freaking minutes without somebody breathing down their neck.
We're trying as hard as we can here. How about cutting some little slack for a change, huh? You know what? This is just bullshit. I do not need this shit.
Christ Almighty, sources added. God distanced himself from the entire right-wing fundamentalist Christian movement, saying that he did not believe pregnancies result from his divine will. The Almighty Father went on to dismiss capital punishment, gun rights, the anti-abortion movement, and the efforts of the Westboro Baptist Church, while adding that he and Christian conservatives, quote, no longer saw eye to eye on the majority of issues. And physicists discovered that the entirety of our known universe is actually the fictional setting of a cop show called Hard Case.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is She Talk Live here on Free Talk Live. And, you know, we're talking about the possibility of having to broadcast She Talk Live from my studio, in which case I'm going to get one of those banners made, but it's going to say She Talk Live on it instead.
I love it.
Yeah. It can't be too hard to get one made. I mean, we still need to do that for the video streams and all that stuff anyway. It's on the back burner. There's a lot on the back burner that I'm going to eventually get to.
Are we going to have wine?
There is always wine at my house.
Sign me up.
Just to be clear on that. Conveniently, one of the bail restrictions that they generally just blanket onto everyone is
no alcohol.
No alcohol
Yep.
and no drugs. But on me, they didn't even bother because I didn't really drink that much prior to March 16th. I found myself drinking significantly more since.
Me too, and I really didn't drink that much.
It's a very stressful time here in Keene and here for Free Talk Live. But hey, we're moving forward and making changes, and some of them are positive. People seem to really like She Talk Live, so I'm glad for that.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We have another female host now, so Khaleesi hopefully can be on She Talk Live at some point.
Khaleesi? Is that her radio name?
Yeah.
Okay. I hadn't heard that yet. But yeah, I mean, so hopefully we can get more and more. There's also Clamoring who's interested in being on it. So, I mean, there's certainly some people we could get on. And it's Free Talk Live that's limited to 3 people. I think beyond that is probably a bit busy, but technically I support up to 8 microphones simultaneously in my studio.
That would be an exciting
For like an
episode.
after show?
That would have to be an after show, yeah. We couldn't have 8 people. I mean,
8 women?
Yeah. Plus, we don't want to turn it into The View or something like that with all of us sitting around speculating and gossiping and stuff. But I mean, obviously, that's none of us anyway. But let's go to the phones. We've got Caleb, who actually has an answer to my question about sitcoms and masks. Caleb, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey. So
Hi.
I've watched quite a bit of TV myself. I'm a couch potato a lot of the time. And really, there's only one sitcom that I've watched that really addresses masks. a lot of them just don't even have them.
They don't even what? You broke up a bit.
They don't even have them.
Okay.
What show?
One show that did have masks was about a store show. It was called Superstore. They're all in a store environment, and they had masks on there.
Interesting. But for the most part, characters in sitcoms and stuff aren't going around wearing masks?
No, they're not even talking about it.
In Superstore, is it hard to tell which character is talking because you can't see their mouths?
Occasionally.
Wow.
I'm not surprised that a show called Superstore would have them wearing masks given things, but now that I've heard it, it's not surprising to me because people tend to watch television to escape from reality. The commercials are already bombarding them with COVID-19. If they did it during the show as well, it's likely that viewer numbers would go down. Well, Caleb, thank you so much for calling and answering the question because I wasn't curious about it, but then the subject got brought up and I found myself unable to think about pretty much anything else. But now I know the answer and it makes sense. Sitcoms and stuff are ignoring it because that's how people escape from the reality of everyone wearing masks around them. If you take away that escape mechanism, they have no desire to watch more of it.
It's weird how much more obvious it is that it's an alternative reality now.
Excellent point. We've also got Nos calling from New Orleans. Nos, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How are y'all tonight?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, so I thought I wanted to strike up a conversation about like the frustration with masks and like anti-masking or pro-masking. I felt like I had like a unique angle that like nobody really talks about that much.
Okay, go ahead.
So, like I'm a new listener and I've like never called in. I don't know where y'all are at politically, but you kind of seem like very for liberty and like privacy to the individual and stuff like that.
Yeah, most of us are voluntarists, which means we believe that all interactions should be done at the voluntary consent of the involved parties.
Yeah. Like, so something I'm really into is like, I'm really into computer science and like digital privacy and stuff like that. And I was really against like the mask at first because like, oh, it's just a piece of cloth. Like, I didn't really see much like science backing up as to how it would help. But I actually like how it like, I really hate surveillance cameras, right? And like algorithms that are like scanning your face.
Oh, I saw you talking about this in Twitch earlier. That's twitch.freetalklive.com if anyone wants to join that chat. But you're absolutely right. They do thwart surveillance cameras and the facial recognition and all of that nonsense that we also stand against here on Free Talk Live, which is one of the reasons that our co-host Mark does support the masks.
Yeah, that's really interesting because like, I'm really like, I consume like alternative media and stuff like that. And I try to keep like an open mind, not listen to like just mainstream sources. And I'm really against like corporations, like saying that your data, they own it. And, imagine like them owning like visual recognition of your face. And so I was just thinking like mask is a cool like excuse to kind of like, prevent that or get around it, kind of like to conceal your identity. And it's just funny that a lot of people are like inherently against that when, they shouldn't be.
I'm not against it if people choose to wear a mask of their own volition and that's something they want to do. I'm against the mask mandates where the government says you must do this thing. And I'm sort of against the social pressure that even if the government doesn't do it, if everyone says, hey, you have to wear a mask or you're this horrible human being, I'm sort of against that as well, just because it's manipulative and extortative.
Well, I have thought of what you're saying before, that, if I'm the only one in a store not wearing a mask, then the, facial recognition software is just picking up my face and putting it in a database. I've thought about that, but have you ever been arrested? Because I've been arrested and had my fingerprints and mouth swab collected by the government. So honestly, at this point, I don't care.
I had that happen to me at Merrimack County. In fact, it shows how inept the government is because I got fingerprinted no less than on 2 different occasions because apparently the U.S. Marshals can't just get fingerprints from the Department of Corrections or the Department of Justice or whoever got my fingerprints the first time. They had to get them again. It's very bizarre, very inept, really.
That's why I do.
That's like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, caller. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, that's an interesting point. But then if you, like, think about the nuance behind that, like, it's not like they put your face, like, into a database that then, like, all the corporations have access to, like, when you like went through that, and it's really more about like preventing tracking.
But
'Cause,
Facebook
like,
already did.
Well, like imagine if they create algorithms that are like tracking you based upon, your facial recognition, but if you're wearing a mask and like other things that are concealing your identity, like special makeup and stuff like that, then they can't actively track you through their algorithms that are being utilized by the surveillance camera.
Yeah, and that's certainly an issue that's going to become more and more prominent in the future. I imagine they're struggling with this in China with the social credit
Yeah, the
system.
social credit stuff, that's really scary, yeah.
I mean, once that crap hits the United States, we already have the surveillance apparatus in place, as does the United Kingdom. Oh, it's going to be a relatively simple thing for the state to take hold of that and make it so that, oh, you're that anarchist who does that libertarian talk show. We don't want you being able to buy groceries. Facial recognition would prevent it. And it just makes
All they
it
gotta
easier
do-
that now you have to scan your QR code to say, oh, yes, I have, in fact, been to Walmart. So then they know
and
where to
it's like,
look.
If you pay attention to like the drops of information and stuff like that, like I'm not exactly like referring to anything in particular, but it's like, the corporations are definitely trying to unify. So then they like, because like you said, they have that surveillance apparatus, but they just need to connect it together and to like legitimize it. It's easy for China to do that because the whole communist thing, they just control everything from one like singular point, but everything's kind of like sparsely disconnected here, which is definitely for the advantage of the people.
Yeah, and hopefully it's going to stay that way, but I don't think it will for forever. Thank you tonight for the call, Nas. Be sure to call in again. It was a really good call, really fascinating. Broke's a lot of interesting subjects. You're absolutely right. Wearing a mask does help conceal your identity. The White Rose actually advised people, which is a Telegram chat that people can find at t.me/join the White Rose. They provide these sticker designs that are anti-mask, anti-government mandates, and stuff like that. But they advise people to wear a mask while putting them up, simply because it conceals your identity.
Yeah, and the sticker pimps did get arrested for putting up those exact stickers. So,
Whatever happened to that, do you know?
It got dropped.
Excellent.
But I don't know to what extent it's really going to help. These algorithms aren't as advanced as they're generally portrayed as. Facebook is constantly confusing me for my sister, which is an honor for me, but probably not for her.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. You can call in and talk about anything you want. 603-283-6160. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria,
Angie,
and Bonnie.
And I want to say thank you to Lonnie Gopal, who is tonight's amplifier. Now, he's a platinum level amplifier, which means that Lonnie is choosing to give at least $25 per month to the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com. Of course, we don't ask that much to join the program. It's just $5 per month. It comes with a number of cool little perks, like an AMP-only Facebook group, an AMP-only chat room on the Matrix server, and there's even an AMP-only call-in line that you can check out. But really, the reason you should AMP is because you like the show. You like the idea of having a show where people can call in and talk about literally anything they want, including the merits of cow flatulence, as we've got coming up. So if you value that, not necessarily the cow flatulence, but the ability for someone to call into a national radio show and express their opinions, then you might consider joining the AMP program. Check it out, amp.freetalklive.com. Lonnie, thank you so much for your contributions. We hope you aren't too put off by the next call that you pull your AMP. But anyway, we've got Pat calling from Michigan. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I don't think Bonnie will be thrown off. She's Ian's girl. They raise pigs. I think it's covered.
You're always mixing Ian up with other people. Ian is not nobody, and Ian is not Mark. He's never raised a pig. I don't think he would ever.
I was also referring to Lonnie and not Bonnie.
He asked me if I could look him in the eyes and truthfully tell him I'm nobody's girl, and I was like, wait, no, I'm Ian's girlfriend. Is that what you mean? And he thought I was nobody's girlfriend.
Well, that was my mistake, Bonnie, and I apologize for that. I truly do.
So what did you call in about tonight, Pat?
Forgive me. Yeah,
It's
well,
okay.
I remember back a couple years ago, the libtards were raising Cain about cow flatulence and how methane's killing the world.
I remember
that. I do too.
Anytime you walk down a bog or a choked off river from the dams, you have a whole bunch of built up sludge, and there's little bubbles that'll come up along, popping right out. And I used to tell my kids when we were fishing, those are turtle farts.
No.
But what it is methane gas.
No, are they actually turtle farts, though?
No, they're not turtle farts. It was just a joke I made for the kids.
Well, I don't know, man.
Me either. I thought he was serious.
I mean, cow farts produce methane. For all I know, turtle farts do as well.
Well, turtle farts might, and there could have been a few of them with frog farts, too. I mean,
fair point.
Be Jesus, I don't know. But anyway, my point is here is the libtards are choking off the pipelines, shutting off the natural gas, And what's that going to require? That's going to require more hydroelectric dams, which chokes off the rivers. And the rivers are arteries. I mean, the world is alive. The rivers are the veins of the world. And if they're not allowed to cleanse themselves, the fish can't get up in, the water gets stagnant, and there's nothing but morbidity to the world at this point. And they're trying to shut down the coal, the natural gas, everything else that produces power, and they're going to want to choke the rivers more.
Well, what about...
I mean, it's insane.
Isn't there a resurgence of nuclear energy talk lately?
Well, there should be, because it seems to me if there's been 30 years of research on this, they ought to have been able to ascertain a controllable apparatus for all this insanity.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I don't know. It's above my pay grade, dude.
Yeah, mine as well. I think nuclear energy is probably the way to go. But as I understand it, there's also geothermal energy, which is far more promising than hydroelectric. But I'm not an expert on these matters. I mean, this is stuff that people who are environmentalists know a whole lot more than I do. And maybe it's a weakness on my part that I don't care enough to look into it. But really, as long as my house has electricity, I don't really give a damn how it gets there or what generates it.
Well, I'll tell you what, bud, I've been off the grid for 20 years. Well, 15 of the last 20 years. I'm listening to you off a DC battery right now.
That is... So you don't have electricity otherwise?
No, sir.
Wow.
I rock everything, man. I am the old dog.
Well,
that's cool.
I also...
Congrats on that, Pat.
I feel like I should also look into which electricity is best more too. But I will say that Peakless Mountaineer was talking to me the other day about how, back in the day, the rivers were probably cleaner and had less plastic in them. And I don't know, it just made me feel really sad for the earth.
Pat, you raise an excellent point about the rivers being the lifeblood. I think you put, I don't remember.
The arteries.
The arteries of the planet. There's certainly a lot of truth in that. And I mean, they're stretched across the planet like arteries, certainly. And they carry what humans need to survive, what all animals need to survive
and the earth,
across the entire planet.
The plants and everything too.
So,
wow, I never thought of it like that. It's really cool.
I also prefer to view the earth as not a living organism, but as, that's why I don't like the term Gaia, because it suggests that earth is an organism that somehow thinks for itself or whatever. I don't necessarily believe that's true, but there's certainly an ecosystem here of things that work together and that should work together and that aren't allowed to work together right now. And this is why I'm an advocate of, I guess, cynicism would be the way to put it, letting the global warming happen and letting nature fix itself, because it will. Because that's what the earth does. That's what all ecosystems do. If humans have really overpopulated and damaged the environment to the point that it cannot sustain our own existence, then humans will die off and all of those problems will eventually fix themselves. And it just goes to prove in the long run that humans didn't deserve to exist in the first place. Not if we kill ourselves.
Not if we throw masks in the rivers. Every time I go on a walk, I see masks on the ground outside.
Oh, they're everywhere. Everywhere.
They are, absolutely. And they're not exactly biodegradable, I don't think. They are designed to withstand a fair bit of wear and tear.
Yeah, I just see them sitting there like all brown from sitting in the dirt for a long time. And
there was one in our yard, and Michael came in and had it made like a mouse hammock because we have cats.
Oh.
And they had killed a mouse, and he brought it in and showed it to our 3-year-old. He was like, "Look at this nice little mouse hammock." And I was like, "Oh, you did not really do that." And she was like fascinated. Can I see? Can I see?
She's funny.
It is frustrating how masks have gotten literally everywhere. There was one in my driveway the other day. Presumably someone had left Mighty Moose Mart, some customer or something, and it fell to the ground. They just left it and the wind blew it into my driveway. It's like, dude, if all of this pandemic nonsense was real and you were spreading germs to that, I don't want to pick that up.
Right, that should be a biohazard. That's not talked about enough, and also the fact that it's ruining the environment isn't talked about enough.
I used to do a lot of my own tattoos, and it was just a given that you had a needle disposal kit specifically for tattoos, because they're a biohazard once you used a needle. But people aren't treating masks with the same level of biohazardness. I don't know what the word is.
Can you do me a tattoo?
No, I've never tattooed anyone else.
Oh.
But thanks for asking.
I've been a first
Angie
for
has.
somebody, yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, the masks, they're clogging up the sewer systems. They're freaking everywhere because people just throw them down. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. A Colorado man reminisced Monday about a simpler time when he only masturbated to still images on the internet. 36-year-old Timothy Barchuk, who now says he requires multiple streaming hardcore videos just to get excited, willfully reflected on the days of waiting for slowly loading images of naked women to appear.
Look at this picture of Phoebe Cates. Sure, you can pull it up in 2 seconds now. Back in the old days, you'd have to wait for it to materialize on your screen pixel by pixel. It's not about her tits, which are nice, but it's about waiting for them. Nowadays, you could pull up 8 different videos of anal sex at once. Who cares?
In local news, the person who will one day become the warlord ruler of what was once Nebraska is born in an Omaha hospital. And in other news, a man and woman get drunk and blow $30,000 in one night. A lonely college student calls up his mom to talk about Harold and Kumar, and another dead body is tossed on a heap somewhere. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Turtle Fart Talk Live, 603-283-6160. That's the caller line. You can talk about whatever you want. As the last caller wanted to talk about cow and turtle flatulence. The turtle flatulence turned out not to be real, which kind of makes me sad because it just sounds like such a funny thing to just think about the turtles hanging out in the rivers.
Just letting it rip.
Yeah. But evidently that wasn't a true thing, which is unfortunate.
Polluting the earth with their farts.
Those damn turtles. But we've got more callers. We've got David from New Mexico calling. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
And Bonnie.
Oh my God, he's always making fun of me saying, and Bonnie. That's how he says I say
I'm
it.
I'm not making fun. Wait, how's that go? It's imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Oh, so you want to be me?
Well, no, that's Arya.
You want to be like Arya?
Well, Arya's former self, maybe.
I don't get it.
What
Are
did you call to talk about tonight?
Cow farts.
All right, well let's talk about cow farts.
What did we not?
Well, let her rip, huh? Let her rip.
So, I'm confused. Are you pro cow fart? Is that what you're expressing?
Yeah. But first of all, I got to say, hand it to Pat and say I've been living the same way for the same amount of time. Half my life I've lived off the grid and solid for the last decade and a half, and I will never go back. And if electricity ever gets to where I am, I will move. I do not want to be around the electricity other than the little bit I generate to make the little bit that I need to run this phone.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Because both of y'all called on phones, right? That's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you have phones then?
Phone lines if you call from a landline, they receive electricity over the landline. And
this is not. No, I live off the grid, meaning there is nothing connected to me. There is no water. There is no sewer. There is no electric. There is no gas. There is no trash. The only thing that comes to me that's grid is a 2-path dirt road.
So how are you calling then?
On a smartphone, of course.
But you're off the grid.
How do you generate electricity?
Well, you can do it a number of ways. The way I do it, like most people would do it in that situation, is they would use one tiny solar panel to charge their battery. That's all you need is a solar panel that's like 2 to 3 square feet.
Fair point.
Yeah. And life is better without it. It keeps the riffraff away. As soon as electricity shows up, so do all the bad people.
Well, a lot of good people show up as well.
Yeah, but the good people don't do anything to take care of the bad people. So the bad people are still there doing whatever they damn well please, and the good people are locked behind their iron gates and do nothing to alleviate the bad people problem.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure I agree. I am grateful for living in modern society where I have electricity and air conditioning and heating and all of that stuff. I understand it's not for everyone. I could not go off the grid without electricity. I mean, I guess I could if I absolutely had no choice, but it's not something I desire to do, and I don't think it would bring any meaningful benefits to my life.
I would think that I would enjoy that. We'd have solar panels, of course, for certain things, but I think that being off the grid would be very nice.
Really?
Yeah.
What about off the grid and away from people? Because I've had this conversation with a friend of mine a lot recently about activism. He basically stays away from everybody and thinks, I live by example. But if you stay away from everybody,
you're not setting any example
you're
because
not
no one's
getting it out.
feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's not activism. That's just wanting to be a hermit. And that's fine if that's what they want to do.
I'd still want to be around people. Like, I just would want my home to be off the grid. That would be good.
Could be fun.
Be a lot cheaper, that's for sure.
I don't know, Mark told me that growing your own food is a good way to spend 3 times the amount on vegetables.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Conan would disagree. It's certainly true with some vegetables like tomatoes, but if you're going potatoes and stuff like that, it's probably it is going to be more work than it's probably worth, but it's, as Conan would say, it's good to know how to do it in case you need to do it in order to survive, which I think is valuable. I just don't have the time or the desire to do it. I would rather, acquire gold. And then when I need to buy some potatoes from Conan, be like, hey, Conan.
Yeah, I'd rather do some kind of share, some kind of crop share or something, because I'd prefer to like push a lawnmower than I would to like garden. And that's ridiculous that I would prefer that kind of yard work over growing my own food.
Well, whenever I have heard Conan talking about this, like, it's really admirable, but at the same time, I just feel like I don't have the space in my brain for all the things you got to remember about each vegetable and stuff. I wanted to start a small garden this year, but then Ian got arrested and I got too depressed. And now that I've heard Conan talking about it, I've been like, wow, that just sounds like not just too much work, but too many things to remember. Like, oh, this one needs this much light, this one needs this much, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's a learning process, right?
I can tell you that if you put them out there and give them water, that they will do okay. It is a learning process, but it's nothing really special. As long as you plant it, you water it, and it has sunlight, it's going to grow.
And it would be better to go through that learning process now than after the Armageddon or zombie apocalypse or whatever it was that we were talking about that particular night. I would rather, know that the grocery store is still there and can sell me potatoes if mine rot under the ground or whatever. But, I've been thinking about it too. My property is probably a really bad place for a garden simply because there's so much runoff from water there because I'm like between the hill and the river. So I don't know how it would actually
You'd have to
work.
do some kind of raised beds.
Yeah, Jay told me that your soil is poisonous and you'd have to grow these mushrooms for a season to make it better. I don't remember what he said.
Yours? It's like that, yeah.
But he said there's a spot that isn't. So I don't know. You'd have to talk to him. He knows about your soil.
I don't care to grow a garden out there. I mean, if I did, I would talk to him.
It's a moot point.
Anyway, David, thank you so much tonight for the call. I play electric guitar, though, so I just don't want to be without electricity. I guess I could play an acoustic, but it's not the same. I couldn't imagine being without electricity. And just the brief period of life where I had no internet access whatsoever drove me insane.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it only lasted 3 days, but you're not able to contact people at your leisure. You're not able to just do what you want to do. And it sucked. I can't imagine not having internet 24/7. I only didn't have it for 3 days.
The idea of where you live compared to here seems not very far at all when I think about us having phones. But if nobody had phones, that seems so far away. There's no contacting you easily. Yeah.
Well, we do have the two-way radios here, and I have an antenna now that presumably would reach all the way out here, but it's not a very effective communication tool.
That's not electric?
It is electric, yeah, but you could do the same thing with a solar panel and, keep it charged.
Yeah, but then everybody has to have their radio on.
Yeah,
because
it has to be near it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to be near it, yeah.
And the repeater has to be working if you want to
Yep.
reach long distances, and that's going to require electricity.
Yep.
You're not powering that with a single solar panel. You can probably get a few to do it, but not a single one. So there are workarounds for all of these things. Obviously, presumably I could probably build enough solar panels to power a guitar amplifier and my effects processor, but I don't see any reason to when I can just pay a company to bring the electricity to me without further effort on my part. Maybe there's some benefit to it that I don't know about. You say the bad people come. I assume you're referring to cops?
Maybe riffraff, criminals or people who want to do harm or steal or...
Sure. But as I pointed out, the good people come as well.
Right, yeah.
You get people like Angie and Bonnie and Ian and Mark and all of these other people who like the luxuries of modern life and who come where those luxuries can be found.
It's just hard to say, though, because are people really drawn to electricity anymore? It's kind of everywhere.
No one is in a hurry to move to Haiti and the remote parts of it that don't have electricity, right? But plenty of people are interested in moving to Japan or the Marianas Islands or the United States or somewhere where there's already electricity. Very few people want to go to Antarctica and tough it out in the snow without electricity.
I just think if David got electricity, people wouldn't show up at his house.
You're probably not wrong. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, and with a show like this, you're never going to, you never know what you're going to get. It went from what is apparently a not true article about a woman forcing a man to ejaculate in her to become her Dogecoin poppy to a rather, the subject of cow farts has been aggravatingly common in tonight's episode. But hey, that is what it is. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. Because this is Free Talk Live. I'm not going to give out the number again because it's the final segment. I just prefer not to take unscreened calls, even though we could, and we could still dump the call because we're a radio show and we have the ability to do that. I still prefer to just not take the risk. I'd rather connect with people first to find out, what they want to talk about, how we can work it into the conversation, that kind of thing. With you tonight, though, it's Aria.
Angie.
And Bonnie.
And speaking of callers, we have Vicky calling. Vicky, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi. Yeah, I think your producer got my name a little bit wrong. It's Dicky with a D.
Oh, yeah. That would have been me.
Dicky
Sorry
with
about
the-
that.
No,
So what's on
that's
your
okay.
mind?
That's okay. I want to get weird. I want to talk about the spiritual. I want to talk about the occult. I don't know what your guys' stance is. On, I guess whatever you want to call it, cryptids, creatures, monsters. Things that aren't classified by what the scientists would want you to say, are real, but that some people have had experiences or encounters with.
Hey, I don't know about these two, but I've talked on Free Talk Live about seeing like what would you call this? Like a pan? Like a goat bottom of his body and a human top of his body?
That would be a satyr.
Satyr.
You're in New Hampshire, correct?
Well, that was in Texas, in Cibolo, Texas, in like a developing
Okay.
suburb.
So typically, that lines up with the description of the Jersey Devil, which is more of an East Coast thing, but they could have been spreading to Texas. I mean, I don't know. With this stuff, you start to realize that it's less that there's not enough evidence, and more so that people there's not a desire within the establishment to research, and that's kind of where I get to my piece.
I'm not sure what there is to research.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is I'm pretty acquainted with goblins, like little green guys.
Well, people
And,
in Mexico just talk about goblins like they're a fact. I forget what they call them. I wish I could remember the name, but like my ex-husband's family just talks about it like, yeah, our neighbors, land or whatever has goblins, and lots of people's especially like older people will remember them more because they just used to run around there, they say.
Sorry, I just
Yeah.
had a really lucid moment where it occurred to me that I might be the only person among the four of us who isn't high as hell.
High on what though? Because that's the other thing is I believe that certain drugs actually give us insight into what is more truthful, more so than impairing us. I mean, it depends on what you're on, but I've seen things on ayahuasca that I would say are more real than what I see when I'm sober.
Well, when I saw the satyr, I was sober AF and I think 16 and getting up from bed, about to get ready to go to church, and I saw it through my window, and it turned into a human.
Yeah, and I would love to get into that, but I came with a mission to talk about the goblins and how kind of the whole
Please do.
pandemic, whatever you want to call it, it's kind of gotten in the way of my line of work because, as you said, it's to certain people that's a matter of fact, and I'm one of those people, and I hunt, I document, and I communicate with goblins around the greater North American area.
Do you have a YouTube or anything? Sorry, do you have any website where we could go to?
I usually do work privately. Like if you wanna.
But I imagine you have some pretty good video documentation of these creatures, right?
Well, we could talk on email, sure.
Do you have video documentation of these creatures?
I do, but I've had it taken off of YouTube when I had my channel.
Well, okay, dang it, I don't really have a public email. Do you have an email?
I do. Shoot it to me at aria@freetalklive.com. I would definitely be interested in seeing that.
And anyone who wants to contact me, maybe in the audience or either of you who would like to email me, it's ghostdrdicky@protonmail.com is my email. So anyone
Ghost
can reach out to
Doctor,
me there.
you do ghost stuff?
Well, yeah, sure, because if you look at it from an economic point of view, I have to make a living, and people are more interested in ghosts than they are in goblins, I guess, to put it simply. And
I
people
imagine
wanna
it's
talk
easier to
their-
exploit people's belief in the supernatural than it is to exploit people's beliefs in goblins, but yeah. I see your point.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it exploitation because I mean I think everybody has the right to have access to supernatural professionals and get services in that way.
What qualifies someone to be a supernatural professional?
I mean, what qualifies somebody to be a radio professional, or what qualifies somebody to be, a meteorologist or something? It's just experience and training, really.
What did you call to tell us about the goblins, though?
I trained under Chris Boers, the ghost doctor, which is how I got my title. But he has a more public presence online. But he was my mentor, and I guess that would be my qualification.
An apprenticeship. Got it.
Profession.
Have you ever encountered any ghosts?
Well, of course, yeah. I guess.
Do you have video documentation of this?
I'm skeptical about this stuff, but what would you define as encounter? I've had romantic and sexual.
I'm putting you on hold because I don't even know where that's going, and I can't.
Wow, he met a succubus. That's insane. Wait, can he come back?
I just
you have questions, right?
This is like the fourth or fifth time tonight where I was just like, I mean, I didn't hang up on it, so we can bring it back. But this is like the third or fourth time tonight where what ran through my head was just, dude, I am too sober for this.
All I can think about is da-na, da-na, da-na. I ain't afraid of no ghost.
Dickie, are you still with us? I believe Bonnie had another question for you. But yeah, please avoid that particular subject.
Yeah, we can't really talk about that subject on the air, but have you seen them with your physical eyes, or would you say that it was more of a in your mind's eye thing?
Well, it depends on the type of entity, I think, because some things are more corporeal, and some things are like it really depends on what the nature of it is. Like I think some ghosts manifest themselves in physical ways, like they're the classic idea of the poltergeist. If you see something flying around the room, then I could say that.
Where do they get their own eyes? Where does a ghost get its mass in order to affect the physical world?
Well, I think that's a question that I don't think that the field has the full scope to answer. I mean, I have my own personal beliefs, but I wouldn't say that I know for a fact where that mass
are
comes
ghosts
from.
affected by gravity?
I would, in my opinion, yes, but that's
okay. So they don't fly.
I wouldn't disagree with, or I wouldn't judge someone else for thinking otherwise.
Well, I kind of would have to, because if they're not affected by gravity, I mean, the Earth is constantly moving. If gravity doesn't affect them, then nothing's tethering to the Earth, and they're just floating out there in space, left behind.
Sure, but some other experts view ghosts as sort of after images popping in, dimensionally. That they're not here in a constant sense the way that we are passing through time. They just kind of lapse in at any given moment and interact in that little slice of time. So they
Sure.
necessarily would not be affected by gravity.
But that just raises the issue again. The Earth is constantly moving. I realize that we're sitting here. It's hard to forget. I mean, it's easy to forget that, but the Earth is constantly moving at like 20-something thousand miles per hour. Something that's not attached to the Earth in any way, such as with gravity, is just going to immediately get left floating out in space.
Well, sure, but
so those would be my questions for you. Give me some answers to those. You have my email address. 1, are ghosts affected by gravity? 2, how do they get their mass that allows them to interact with other physical objects? Because if they have mass, then they can be definitively studied, quantified, and measured.
Does electricity fly away because it's not, or because the Earth is moving? Because maybe it's just energy.
Electricity is a form of energy.
Yeah, maybe it's just energy and not, able to see with your eyes.
Inquiring minds want to know.
It's been a weird night.
I believe you, Dr. Dickey.
Thanks for listening. Head on over to freetalklive.com. We've got an archive there going back more than 10 years. It's been Free Talk Live.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A major energy pipeline shut down by a cyber attack. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Colonial Pipeline says it was targeted by a ransomware attack.